Right now, as NRG Shock is versus Yeah We Lost, we can promise you one thing, it's going to be a good time and a fun watch. Take it away, Vicky and Gaskin.
Thank you so much, Cozy. We are ready, Gaskin. It's finally happening. The pick and ban phase for our next series, our third best of 5 in Americas. And would you be surprised to see the first two bans, of course, being the Gambit and then the Elsa on the other side?
Who'd have thought a Protect onto Gambit after Elsa's banned away? And that probably means we're going to see Loki bans afterwards as well, because you can't let them go through. We are going to see a different side of the matchup, though, because with how things have worked out, it means one team has been able to protect Elsa, one team has been able to protect Gambit. So we are going to see, maybe in this match in particular, who is the stronger hero? Would you rather have the duelist of Elsa, or would you rather have the strategist of Gambit? I know my preference, but I also am not much of a strategist, Vicky. I like to have a solid duelist. But by opening up Elsa, that does mean you've got the potential for a triple strat comp as well. We have seen both teams kind of dabble with it here or there. Velocity, fantastic at spreading across the board on those strategists as well. So we'll have to see what happens with these bans. You can see with Mantis being removed, people are very worried about that triple strap being happening.
Yeah, and plus, like, the fact that you have damage boost, and if you know that the Elsa's protected, imagine, putting the entire team in a microwave of how much damage will come out of that damage boost. So that's why you see the Mantis ban from the other side as the Protect onto the Strange. This is interesting because we have been seeing this. I feel like, yeah, we lost, and I think the other time we saw more of, like, the Strange prio was actually back in group stages with Nightmare, thinking that they were cooking up, maybe trying to take away a portal on a domination, which is incredibly important, Gaskin, when it comes to coming into contest back in from a portal when a game is getting really close into overtime.
Yeah, also the fact that Kendrick has just been unbelievable on Strange as well. So to have that and to have that possibility of it happening, it makes sense. You get the Protect on Invisible Woman on the side of NRG. Again, I'm not entirely surprised because we've seen so much of Renko on Invisible Woman, 5 picks so far, 72% win rate when they have that Invisible Woman available. And now they've kind of got the advantage on the strategist side with Invisible Woman on their side, but banned on the side of Yeah We Lost. But we know that Yeah We Lost like to play sometimes just something that little bit different. Jitwood already looking to hover on the Spider-Man. We have seen, though, him switch over to the duelist pool as well, and actually, technically, he's had more success on the duelist pool than he has on the Spider-Man.
I love it when it comes to Gaskin and numbers, man. Crunching it all up, looking at what we've already had as a basis here in the group stages. But Jitward, as you mentioned, has been able to go back and forth, right? And when it comes to rolling out the gates and doing something flashy, it has been Yeah We Lost with a lot of eyes to see if this team could be more consistent at the very least in their end part of their group stage run into the beginning here in the bracket stage.
Also, huge shout out to Ryan Central as well, who has been amazing with stats. And often just making sure that we've all got all the numbers across all regions, by the way. Insane amount of work being put in by him, so I really appreciate him. I wanted to give him a little bit of a shout out as well. But 14 seconds and we start to get this one going. Is it going to be a simple one-sided affair for NRG? Are we going to see the experience shine through, or will we get Yeah We Lost showing us what they can do now they are in the big leagues?
Look at this. You're going to be seeing a lot of Luna, by the way, and the next time we go live within the MRI. I love how the pros have been talking about it. Xantho's rolling out on that Luna before we see the big changes coming out. Together with the team up with the White Fox, too. You get that little charm in Lumina's pocket here, while Shock are going to be able to rely on that God of Mischief together with the Raging Royal Flush.
Yeah, which is a nuts combo, by the way. The fact that that has got through, they are going to be eating it up for sure. Stinker's already getting in the face as well. And that is easy as you like. Wolverine, terrifying.
Here, kitty kitty, the claws have answers now. Xanthos gets a clap back literally now on the Gambit. Back and forth as Window keeps NRG Shock in the driver's seat. Jitward's gonna get stunned, and this is gonna be NRG Shock to take the point first as the stall continues on, at least from Zaytex. But it's just a matter of time unless Zaytex has something else to say. Already love this opening of a very long fight here before now finally Shock do manage to flip the points, and they force out even more of these staggers away from Yeah We Lost.
The fact that, yeah, we lost losing the neutral here is not a good sign for them, because I do think in terms of the lock and ban phase, NRG Shock have got the better of them. The fact that they have the Gambit plus the Loki is just going to be unbelievable when we get into the ultimates. The fact you've got 2 Raging Royal Flushes is going to give them such an advantage here, because sometimes it feels like a win button. I know it's not that simple, but when you see teams like this put it into effect, it does feel that way.
It's that get ready, set, go button, right? The green light, though, before following up, Kendrick finds Madara. It's going to be Chime, though, onto Zaytex before Dipple is going to be able to activate and put in some more pressure onto that Luna Snow, but they're going to be able to just back away from now. But this is more time bought for NRG Shock right now as they keep their feet planted. That was from Window originally, and then the Kidnap, another possible stagger, but then the teleport away saves the day for now.
It's a lot of eyes going to be on Zaytex at the moment. Glartrox is going to be available for them as well to be able to use and maybe just be able to break through. Could even send people off the map if you do it right. But now here comes that first Raging Royal Flush of the game.
Oh, I love the stall right there, too, before diving right back into the action. And it's going to be from Velocity's side because Renko still has that Raging Royal Flush. You talk about having both of them. You could bet everything on red and on black here. You got 2 chances as we're nearing 70% and climbing. And NRG Shock really only used up those 2 ultimates from the very end before Window also got another round. And they still have 3 more in their pocket.
I think the scary thing for YWL Lost as well is the fact that you've got Xantho having to play Luna when, 6 out of the 8 games that they've played thus far has played on Invisible Woman. So again, just off of comfort in this particular situation. But you can see now, another Raging Royal Flush is available. NRG Shock just want to win this one right here, right now.
But it's great because it's not chime time just yet when you have Santos ready with the dance off right now. But Stinkers getting that dive in right outside the healing range as it's nearing 99% in favor for Shock. And the stall is still there at least all the way up into 99%. It looks like the Wolverine has been a problem, but they do manage to finally flip it for now.
Reminds me of what we saw in the first match of today where Wolverine was just whipped out by Swamp Gaming whenever they were in trouble. So difficult to try and deal with. Window gets one onto Xantho, so that is going to open things up now for NRG. Is this the beginning of end? Can maybe Jitwood do something on the backline here?
What are you waving at, man? The Deadpools are still becoming menaces onto this backline. Window has been on fire, but also taking a good chunk of that damage. Same thing for Stinkers, as he's going to get punished for it. But Cart, even though he's found Velocity, needs some backup. It's going to be Jitwood rolling out with some desperate measures. Sure, you get the stun. You don't get the pick off, and Renko stays alive.
Renko stays alive. They're trying to push in and see if they can take this point and maybe win this last engagement to take the first round. But Chime also going to just push straight in. Mask gets shuts down, and with the first Vanguard out, this fight is going to be very difficult for YWL Lost.
I mean, it's the fact that you keep seeing these kidnaps coming up with the follow-up, literally getting whiplash. Atex trying everything they possibly can. A nice freeze onto Stinkers. He's going to go in for the dive down, though, with the last stand, but the wall clips him right outside the range to get the follow-up. Velocity's also very close to getting that God of Mischief. They're going to have to desync this together with Renko, but this fight is still going. Zaytex is still holding it down for now, and with the Raging Royal Flush, they want to be the nail in the coffin here since they still have control over the point.
Yeah, Velocity's popped it. Renko has gone down, though, so isn't going to be able to pop it. Jitwood has been able to get behind backline, but now here comes Chime. He's going to find 1, make it 2, and this surely is the beginning of the end. It will be. First round goes in favor of NRG, and I do wonder, Vicky, whether this is just all in that lock-in ban phase. Have they just got one up here against YWL Lost?
Gambit never folds. It just never does. And when you got 2 of them, sheesh, you got the jackpot on top of it when you got Chime to follow up with that Galactic Legend. And with Renko going down at the very end of that fight, it's fine because they still are holding on to that Raging Royal Flush into this first fight.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. There might have been the potential of just popping it, wanting to win that point in those final moments out of panic, but now you get that extra little bit of a beginning here, and that might just pummel YWL Lost into the ground yet again, where NRG can find themselves in a similar spot that they did the previous, where they start to earn the point early, they dominate, and they force YWL Lost to try and do something a little bit different. Speaking of, it looks like we are going to see some changes. Jitwood thinking about switching over to Venom, as he already has, 50% on the ultimate. Zaytex is going to have Glartrox available very shortly as well, though, and I will say, Zaytex is so impressive. Amazing flex player. Doesn't matter what they're playing, but particular when they're playing on Elsa, fantastic.
And gets the picks necessary, right? Like, if it's not going to be the Elsa, we've seen it on the Mantis, we've even seen it on the Atom. Talk about having to showcase that flexibility, but you did protect the Elsa. You need to get enabled here. The Glartrox is online. Santos can also keep everybody alive once this Raging Royal Flush comes in, but having to be careful with an anti. As the Glartrox comes in, the Raging Royal Flush purifies them outside the Glartrox too. They try to dive down, but Madara gets caught by the Hulk. The dance-off is moving forward, and Madara just gets the Eye of Agamotto at the perfect time. As Renko goes down, he tries to get the stun, finds 2, and stops Kendrick right out of having that Kumiho unleash.
Oh, that's a perfect start, though, from Yeah We Lost, especially considering the Raging Royal Flush was pumped and dumped. And now NRG are going to have to try and fight their way back into this one. Yeah We Lost need to show what they can do in terms of their flexibility here. This is why I'm excited that Jitwood has switched over. Spider-Man hasn't always been successful for them. I understand he's incredible on Spidey, but just wanting to change things up. And look at the aggression now getting in the face of NRG.
And now pushing in with the Feast of the Abyss. It finds Renko, but there is no follow-up, unfortunately, for Jitwood. Cart also gets that reset too. Worldbreaker Hulk tries to get the also stun before backing away, but they're trying to extend on this lead here. They need it. Trying to force out even more utility away from Shock. Stinkers does have that final stand as well as Chime, but he's got to get ready with Velocity and the God of Mischief to follow up with a combo.
Nice slice and dice. Sinkers gets the one onto Jitwood, and now this is the moment for NRG because they have the extra player. They can start to get a little bit more aggressive around the side. Good freeze, though. Does deny Stinkers initially, but there's going to be the follow-up from Renko.
And this is why, when it comes to that Loki and Gambit, you gotta ban one or the other so you don't get it twice. Madara does get caught by Mask's ultimate, though, before trying to back away. Interesting look here from Mask when you were talking about how we've seen that before with the Thor or the Rogue, but it's not like they have the Gambit. Now they push in with the Rage of Royal Flush and release the what? The Apex Predator has now found themselves at the very bottom of the food chain before moving up in a rather inexpensive fight for Energy Shock, and they're still holding it down with Madara finding head after head.
I love the switch onto Groot as well. Just now they can really start to frustrate Yeah We Lost with the walls as they're trying to push in. Jitwood only on 64%. Cart's going to be the one to watch, I think, on to Bruce Banner. But now Deadpool, again, is just such a nuisance as well to try and play against. But some good time from Yeah We Lost. At least this is a little bit better for them. They do have time to kind of be patient and assess how they want to break this one. But look at the ultimate economy on the side of NRG right now. They are more than ready for this fight.
They have everything, and Chime also has everything on Jitwood because Jitwood has just really not been able to get much started here, even after making the swap up to the Venom. Madara does get frozen for now. We know how detrimental a lot of these daggers have been for Yeah We Lost to deal with, and Shock have been forcing that to be within their playmaking abilities here too, in terms of their pacing. Talk about everything in the bank right now as Match tries to close in the gap and does find the head onto Velocity, but Renko is still alive, and so is that Raging Royal Flush before diving in.
Yeah, Window doing so well to jump onto that backline with Vanpool as well, because you can be so deadly with the extra little bit of damage, plus the ultimate, of course. And now they are forcing Yeah We Lost back yet again, but it is going to be the counter ult coming out from Mask with his own Deadpool, as Yeah We Lost just cannot find their way through.
Yeet! Took him right out of the gates, and they finish him off after he pops that ultimate. Chime still has that Galactic Legend. Velocity looking to get that God of Mischief. Looking upwards, though. Yeah We Lost really only have Xanthos to rely on in terms of survivability, and Jitwood's out again!
Zatex does take down Velocity, though. Very threatening onto the side of Elsa, but he's trying to get another. Chime does get taken down, so this is going to be NRG now having to fall back. Probably want to try and wipe this unless someone can go off. Maybe Stinkers can do something on the Wolverine, but no, Kendrick and Mask will work in tandem to shut two more players down. NRG will lose the point. So yeah, we lost with a chance to take this round now, but NRG, they'll be looking at Chime, saying, all right, big responsibility here with the Galactic Legend.
They just jumped Cart, by the way, and not only does the Bruce Banner get sent back to the spawn room gates, but that's going to be another pickoff leading into some more of these ultimate charges. Another kidnap, as Jitwood cannot do anything about these kidnaps from the Wolverine. Chime has a Galactic Legend, and the Glartrox brings everybody inside, but perfect Raging Royal Flush to help for a reset here, too.
Xantho had to pop as well just to try and keep everyone alive. It's going to be a 6 versus 5 at the moment with Zatex going down. Renko just about stays alive as well. And NRG can now look to try and take this point, which they have done. And now it's about just closing this thing out. The stagger might be perfect for them.
Now looking ahead, can they even make it back with Matt trying to teleport back in? They're trying to stall before diving together, and 99% overtime forced away. Madara does have that strangling prison, but misses out. The perfect teleports from the White Fox keeps them alive, but the Raging Royal Flush is among us now, Gaskin. And you have to imagine with two more going down for Yeah We Lost, they have no sustain. It's just a matter of time as NRG are looking to dominate on this first map.
Mas did throw a ball down. If anyone's quick enough on Sport, no, they will not be. And NRG still look like they are carrying momentum through from the group stages. But yeah, we lost. Just couldn't quite get into that domination matchup. Very impressive from NRG. Again, I think that a lot of it was won during the lock and ban phase for me. I don't think you can let Gambit and Loki go through. It's been a big discussion with all of us, right? Like, you know, is it Elsa? Is it Gambit? But I think if you let Gambit go through, you cannot, for God's sake, let Loki go through.
It's like the same thing. You don't let the Mantis go through if you see they protected the Elsa. If you see they protected the Gambit, you cannot let the Loki go through. It's just hand in hand in this rock, paper, scissors in the pick a ban phase. A Chime is your MVP. 14 final hits with some help of that Rage and Royal Flush. If you take a look at Velocity and Renko with that strategist healing in general in terms of their outcome versus what Kendrick had here on the White Box. Great looks all the way around, though, here for NRG Shock to set themselves in the driver's seat once again in our best of 5. We're going to have to see if the pick and ban phase here changes up into this next map, which we'll find out where we're going to be going on to on the other side of this break.
Alrighty, guys, just shy under 10 minutes. That was definitely a strong, opening for NRG versus Yeah We Lost. I think, Gaskin, you said it well. Obviously, a little bit in the ban phase where things, I would say, need to be cleaned up. You can't give the Gambit and the Loki for sure, with Velocity being such a great Loki himself. But Chime's going to pop off no matter what. Vicky, Chime is going to play well. Star-Lord, he did 14 finals, 30-3. So the Elsa, I get it, but I think there's bigger priorities.
That's what happens when it's Chime time and you got 2 Rage and Royal Flushes, right? Like, it's been insane to see that we saw the Loki and the Gambit go through. I feel like we're broken records, but for all the right reasons, right? You see, even in ladder, that you see a Gambit and you already know if they're going to be able to run out a Gambit because you didn't ban Gambit, I mean, you're going to be in for a bad time if you didn't ban out the Loki too. And we keep seeing that go down within the MRI across so many different regions, Cozy.
For sure. I felt like, when you look at that first map, especially Zone 1, Jitward going into the Venom did feel to play a little bit better there. Things looked a bit tighter. Zatex was playing a great game, and Xantho throughout. That if you were to kind of highlight 2, Gaskin, those are the 2 I would highlight. But yeah, on the other side, it just felt like they always had an answer. Madara was the server admin there, just continually not letting any momentum be gained from Yeah We Lost. They don't open up always the best in domination, but yeah, is the answer just fix it in the ban phase? Would you like them to switch things up? Because if you look at Yeah We Lost, sometimes they swap who's playing the tank mask, sometimes going to the heal role.
I do think that they've tried to target Chime, and I think they might have just learned a lesson. Because yes, we know that Chime has a fantastic win rate on Elsa, but I think you look at Velocity and what Velocity can do on Gambit or Loki, you can't allow those to get through. You really can. It is as simple as that, and I would rather take the risk of going into a matchup against the Duelist. It will be slightly different now going into this ban phase for them, I'm sure. I do want to give credit to Zatex, like you say, because Zatex did absolutely everything that they could to try and bring them back into that game, and that's what you should do. If you are on the Elsa, that is your responsibility to be the carry, essentially, but sadly just wasn't enough against 2 Gambit ultimates, just over and over. Both Raging Royal Flushes was just too much to go up against.
Yeah, we've talked to coaches, Vicky. We've talked and we've seen now over the course of just a year, there's a lot of ban plans going in. You either try to do meta staples and some of the basics out there, or you look at the strength of the team and kind of what is the anchor, right? And the great teams, you could take out anything and they're just not going to fall because they have other roles that could pick up the pace. And so with this team, it's like, what do you look at NRG that you try to attack if you are in the ban phase? As we look at the map that I thought would be picked here, this is usually, you know, YWL's comfort pick, especially with the dive. But how do you think they plan to attack this ban phase different, and who? Because Chime's not the answer.
I mean, just take away the bread and butters, right? Like, obviously, if you see the Gambit get through, then you're going to have to make sure you don't get the double Rage Royal Flush. But not only that, like, you see the Vanpool getting so much outcome as well. So you have to make sure, like, okay, if they're going to have that damage boost, then you cannot help enable a lot of that extra damage coming in from window that we saw earlier, too.
For sure, and I think Gaskin, with this map, this is one where, you know, try to get Kendrick, if not on Strange, go with him on the Jeff. Jitward's going to have a lot more room to breathe, I think, in this map as well. Obviously, when the again, we call it a glass cannon, right? So if it's not like working right off the rip, what can you do to adjust? And I liked the Venom to kind of try to get a spark going, and it did work somewhat, you know, not perfectly, but it did work a little bit better. And so with this map, I think it's going to flow a bit better for We Lost.
I do think that that's something about We Lost is they don't have someone who has been able to play Venom successfully, so that's why we've got Jitwood trying it, but they have their best results when Jitwood switches over to dual pool. So maybe if we do see the Jeff on Kendrick, because again, there's a 68% win rate when they use Jeff with Kendrick as well. I think you're completely right there. Maybe that could be the answer. We haven't seen NRG win on Museum, so again, it's just going to play to the fact that they've gone for this map for a reason. Maybe it's going to make them uncomfortable. Maybe it's going to be a dive situation.
Yeah, well, it's 3-0, 3-0. Now it's 1-0. Will it keep up the history repeating itself? Vicky Gaskin, here we go at the Museum of Contemplation. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Cozy. All right, Gaskin, we got another one out here, and we see the Gambit ban, we see the Elsa ban, but then we see the Protect on the side of We Lost with that Elsa. Once again, just trying to help enable is what we saw from Zatex, but this also is going to have to proc definitely a Loki ban going in next.
I swear to whatever being I need to. There is no way you let Loki get through. I understand the Rogue ban as well, because similarly, if you're going to let Gambit go through, Rogue is also a concern here, but I do think that after what you've seen, you still have your chance here. You can still get rid of Loki. You can still get rid of both, but remember, they were scared of Mantis last time, and they still seem to be scared of Mantis, and this is just going to work out for NRG. NRG are just going to go for the Protect. Like, maybe they don't even need to. Maybe they're thinking, well, they're not going to ban Loki. Let's just protect Invisible Woman again. This is crazy.
I mean, okay. So what's crazy to me is like it's like the pick your poison, right? It's obviously like pick your poison, but I would much rather deal with like the power up Rogue than I would with the double Rage and Royal Flush, I feel like. But I guess, you know, seeing what We Lost have in store, maybe trying to change things up. They linger over the Ultron, but I mean, you already see the Protect of the Gambit and Invis. That would be crazy. So it's going to be the Vanpool. I like that idea because we just mentioned what Windows impact was. And aside from like the damage output with that Zatex had the second most highest damage in the lobby for that first map, Window was there leading the damage with over 17,700 plus damage done, and that was on the Vanpool.
Dude, We Lost protect Strange again. They're going to protect Mantis. Okay, so we're going to see triple strat with Mantis coming in. Might see a Strange ban on this side, but... Oh, Jeff actually would be really good. Just if you think about what we were speaking of with Cozy, I mean, the success rate we've seen with Jeff on the side of We Lost, I think that's really good knowledge. Great ball knowledge from NRG, some would say, but that is very impressive. They've done their research. They know what to get rid of. I am still a little bit concerned that we've allowed Gambit and Loki to get through, but I guess maybe on this map, they feel like it's going to be less likely, but look at what's being currently locked in. I mean, going up against Gambit, Loki, and Invisible Woman, I would probably just FF.
It's gonna be crazy. I mean, it's definitely gonna be hard. At least with the Vanpool off the table though, Gaskin, we know how Vanpool scales on maps like Museum of Contemplation. Obviously, the longer it goes, the stronger we know Vanpool gets. So you won't really have to worry about that, at least on one side. And this is what I was also wondering here too, with Mask taking more of that lead on playing, not really the Vanguard that we were expecting. Now is hovering over that Thor. Not sure if he's actually gonna roll out with it. While like Jitwood was struggling though, right? Like when we saw that Venom come out, but we've also seen Jitwood pop off on the Duelist pool as a more priority pick for Jitwood than that Van pool.
I asked this question in week 2, saying, are we going to see more Mask on Thor? Because in week 1, we saw him bring it out a couple of times, and I was very impressed with just how oppressive he was, how difficult it was to play against his Thor, and we're going to witness it yet again here, I think. And you combine that with Venom on cart, Jitwood is going to be on the dual pool as well, which I said is their highest success rate. This is YWL's chance to try and prove what they can do with slightly off-meta characters.
Gonna be a tough one here. Renko's already healing everybody up together. As well as Chime lingering in the back. The fact that you have this triple strike here on this hold before backing away. Love utilizing the geography here of this map too, just managing to back away through that broken wall before you know that Duelist Pool is going to be able to get that ultimate online just as quickly with the Banhammer, trying to push in, but needs some follow-up help as Cart takes a good amount of that pressure too. Jitwood's forced to back away, and Cart also, just for that reset, Renko's keeping everybody alive, but this is a straight neutral that we're currently seeing, as well as that stall.
Yeah, YWL need to take advantage of this neutral as well, especially considering they've used one ultimate already via Jitwood. NRG doing so well to sustain at the moment and sitting back. And sooner, they are going to get their ultimates and NRG are going to be able to win this fight. But there is still a little bit of a push here coming out of YWL. So at least they were able to force them back, get a little bit of time on this one. But now you see the Raging Royal Flushes are going to be coming thick and fast as YWL lose too.
And they have no sustain here. Card is literally one. It's just going to be a wipe here as NRG Shock keep their feet planted on this point on the defense. Well, Renko will have a Ranger Royal Flush for this next fight, and Kendrick's going to try to stay alive once you have that Kumiho unleashed, because Kendrick's probably going to get hit with an anti on top of it too.
So now NRG have won their initial fight, and now they're going to be ahead in the ult race for me pretty much every single fight if they do this correctly, because Renko can delay this one, Velocity can start to build, and it will almost feel like they have a Raging Royal Flush for every fight if they time this right, especially with staggers. Jitwood does get an opener onto Velocity though, and that is going to force out a Raging Royal Flush from Renko.
Now they're going to be able to try to push in at the same time here while the Kumiho Unleashed does come in, bringing everyone together. It's going to be the Strangling Prison with a wall to their back. You see the White Fox just trying to navigate away from Kendrick as now Xanthos comes into the mix. Oh, but the stun! Madara, he comes in with the smash, and then Mask comes up from the sky, holding Mjolnir in their hand. They try to get this going. They found 3 originally, and Shock looking a little bit more mortal now, as long as they can clear up this point with some help from Zatex.
Yeah, that was a big early pick just coming out, and NRG sadly were just behind on an extra player. You see at the moment, they're trying to think about what they want to do here with this portal. They are going to go for it as well. Chime initiates, but Chime gets shut down. Zatex gets the opener, and it should just be like clockwork now as they flood through this portal, probably to their doom.
Oh, Zatex is going crazy. This is what we were expecting too. You see the Doctor Strange puts one toe outside that portal, gets deleted, and then keeps it going, mowing the rest of the lawn here. Is going to be Zatex as Energy Shock get wiped again. The stall tries to come out before Window inevitably goes back to the spawn.
Lots of switching though. Magneto now coming into the fray. Venom might be switched over to Windows. Stinkers onto the Wolverine. So NRG very much changing and adapting the further this convoy is going to move that little bit further. But Zatex still showing what they're made of. Glartrox comes out as well. And it's a big one. Manages to catch 3. And yeah, we lost are starting to look more and more comfortable here on Museum.
I think that pick and ban phase is going to look a little differently, Gaskin. I think that Elsa won't be able to see the light of day, maybe stuck in jail, and this is what happens. But Zatex, we've seen Zatex before pop off. If it's not the Elsa, it's usually that Phoenix, right? And Jitwood's already getting to position to follow up with Cart.
I think mainly it's just been these early picks from NRG haven't been able to stabilize very well and get themselves into a direct 6v6 fight. That being said, Velocity now going to pop the Loki ult, maybe try and get something on that Raging Royal Flush, but look at Jitwood yet again just being a threat on this back line, and are tearing through NRG.
He's bouncing on top of their foreheads. And Chime, at least in the back, does fight Kendrick. But that's all that space that they've been trying to build. They still need to push the car over to the second checkpoint, but it's about building up that space before they try to go in for a recontest.
And this is what we were talking about with comfort, with Yeah We Lost. Like, play on some heroes that you are so happy with. And Mask on Thor has looked incredible so far.
Oh, okay, gonna be able to pop the Galactic Legend. It's gonna force out the dance off here from Santos. Renko's gonna be able to get the anti and find Zatex. The biggest problem as they've isolated Zatex. Behold, nothing. There is no power to behold now as the Thor's get back to the spawn room gates. You get that final stand. Stinkers has had enough. They clear up the point once again. It's back to the drawing board for Yeah We Lost in their attack.
Can they stagger a little bit here? It is going to be somewhat, but with 2 minutes still left on the clock, it's not like Yeah We Lost need to rush out of spawn here. They can gather and start to plan, but then you look at their ult economy at the moment, it's only Zatex who really is going to have a chance to do anything here. And on the other side for NRG, you've got Madara who's going to have a fantastic opportunity with a defensive ultimate from Magneto. And now NRG, have they been able to find their way and find their footing here on this point?
I'm just glad whenever you see Chime just swap over to that Star-Lord, okay? No more triple strat, right? No more invis in Chime's hands. Too much talent out here when it comes to these follow-ups as Madara goes all the way up with the meatball. Misses on the shot, but the follow-up from window, the Glottrox was sent out, and it may have just done more than enough pressure here as Mask and Cart isolate the strategist. Velocity had gone down with the God of Mischief, and that would have gone huge. But now they've isolated Mask, who is forced to wrap around, separating a lot of Yeah We Lost.
I mean, this fight's all over the place. It's the battle of the big boys at the moment. Vanguard's going toe-to-toe, 1v1s. Xantho does get one window, will reply with one of their own, though, and now Yeah We Lost. Can they actually stabilize a little bit after losing those first two players and regain control of this cart? Looks like no is going to be the answer right now, but Zatex back into the fray.
Oh no, big bully Zatex is here. Velocity now just trying to run for their life after getting booted out of the God of Mischief here too. Even a little bit of a misclick and trying to help stall, but Madara does find Cart. Rager Royal Flush as Yeah We Lost try to gather up on the cart to get to the second checkpoint, but it's still getting contested.
I mean, the contest has been crazy from NRG. The speed in which they get there, but on the back line now, you can see a couple of fights happening. Xantho, Zatex gets one on his Stinkers as well. But are you going to be able to do enough here as the Elsa? Because you are getting targeted and focused, but dancing and dodging around the cart right now.
Oh, the White Fox going down, overextending just a bit while Energy Shock come right back with Velocity on the rocket means that BRB gets even more impact before Velocity goes out. And now Cart is clearing up the point with some help from Jitward. The contention now coming in from the portal play. They stay on there. They still don't get the second checkpoint. Jitward is trying to be the nail in the coffin. They block them out from the other mouth of the portal, and they at least get the second check art through the finally on that finish line to the finish line.
It was a valiant attempt from NRG, but I think the writing was already on the wall, and then the stagger on this Strange is absolutely deadly at the moment. Stinker's kind of just left in the middle of nowhere. They're waiting to pop him off and get that KO, and it will just allow that cart to be pushed that little bit further by Yeah We Lost.
That is such a big stagger right there. You lose out on your Strange. You had Eye of Agamotto, Feast of the Abyss does hit Kendrick. Xantho waiting on that anti, heals everybody back together so that way they can try to overextend. Well, they know that they have the number advantage just for now. For seeing Energy Shock making some changes to Stinkers now over onto the Phoenix, having a lot more of these open sight lines. A Galactic Legend, you have no sustainability here other than Kendrick, who gets melted, by the way, in that Kumio Unleash. So they're just trying to be able to play right outside the range.
Keep an eye on Zatex, though. Glottrox available, and a chance to really pop off alongside Jitward. You can see they are planning something, and they will jump down onto Stinkers. They find their first, and now they're going to be following up, and maybe it's going to be a Glottrox to get it as well. Renko does get one, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
But being able to reset here is big. Cart still has a Feast of the Abyss. Kendrick trying to bring everybody up together in terms of health, while Jitward is controlling the high ground. Also has Ibanhammer ready to go, too. But you have 5 seconds to try to get this cart to the finish line. And they were trying to stall for as long as possible with your energy, and they still have these 3 ultimates.
It's going to be a difficult one sometimes in OT, but you've got to just get it past that bridge, and then sometimes it turns even more difficult. Jitward's going to pop. Xantho on the other side also has popped that ult as well. Thought about popping it, but of course only on 51%. Now overtime is going to be there, and Jitward throwing himself into the back line.
The way that Jitward plays Duelist Bull, man, you would think you're seeing Daredevil, but with the Mjolnir hammer going all the way up, it has to come crashing down. Finds one, but Madara is going to be able to take care of Mask like a fly swatter before Velocity comes in, and nobody else to go in together with Yeah We Lost to push this cart and to keep stalling. We at least get it past these 2 checkpoints, though, Gaskin.
The real question is, how are Yeah We Lost going to do on the defensive side now? Because it is a little bit different. I think if they can win this initial fight, then maybe they can make life very difficult for NRG trying to pop out. That being said, Stinkers is going to be the player to watch on the Wolverine to be able to break out of that initial point. If you can get a little bit of a kidnap on the go, then suddenly you're going to find your rest of your team just marching on through and gaining control and getting so much time on the convoy. But yeah, we lost though. We have to give them credit, Vicky. I mean, they're going up against the Gambit and the Loki, and I was saying in particular, it's just so difficult to try and play against, but they did find a way. They thought about the lock and ban phase, and they said, okay, well, we don't really want to change things up. We don't want to give them the Elsa, so what is our answer? And they went for something a little bit different. Mask was incredible on that Thor.
It's always like, I feel like Mask has been like the only Thor that we've really seen like try to stick to their guns on playing this Vanguard, right? And it's very unorthodox compared to like the usual compositions that we see rolling out. And on this map in particular too, maybe you do get that verticality on that third checkpoint, but everyone's so grouped up together. You're also trying to capitalize on baiting out some of these Loki lamps too. It's all about trying to pull that utility away. As we see now, yeah, we lost, doing something different with Xanthos being on that Loki, Mask now on that Mantis, still running that triple strat now this time, in Kendrick having that White Fox.
Triple strat of Loki, Mantis, White Fox. I'm all for it. Let's see how it goes. But if one of them goes down, you might get absolutely destroyed here. And again, Stinkers is going to have a lot of responsibility. Renko gets the opener onto Zatex.
Oh no, Zatex going down. Also going to stall out that ultimate 2 from the Apex Predator, as Shock now try to close in the gate now, trying to make sure that they're going to be able to extend on this advantage. For NRG, Shock though, with Window being on the Groot, and yeah, we lost not having that team up together with the Loki and Mantis. Here comes a dive in from Cart, trying to harass Madara, but you have to be careful with that Wolverine, as Jitward is also one shot. He's able to get the health back.
Jitward very close to ult though. Banhammer can come out very shortly and might just be able to delete someone on the back line very quickly indeed. And here we go. Oh, the kidnap is perfect! The timing is unbelievable.
No way here. Jitward! It's not the Banhammer, it's going to be the big test with the duelist pool finding its impact right now. Visible boundary comes up from Velocity after they lost out on Madara now from the other side. Window also close to that strangling prison, while Renko's looking to rotate in with the Raging Royal Flush with a different look, right? Being able to swap over off of that Loki themselves, and now Xanthos trying to match that together with Mass this time around, rallying the troops together, but it's going to be hard here. NRG Shock now just trying to be able to get some more progress as we see a portal play from Madara.
We're also seeing really what the lack of an invisible woman can do sometimes and trying to out-heal NRG, who just seem to have that advantage in some of these engagements. That being said, yeah, we lost, have been able to stall very successfully, and now the Loki is going to be able to pop the ultimate as well. But here comes Window, slam down, and Madara will get one as well, and just like that, yeah, we lost, are going to get wiped.
Oh my, off of the Eye of Agamotto follow-up here too. They shut it down immediately, and now you get the follow-up to add. You clear the point from, yeah, we lost, and if you look at what they have to work with here too, Gaskin, they really only have the Feast of the Abyss. Kendrick is close to that Kumiho Unleashed, and Zatex could make some plays happen, and Madara did use up that portal that we already saw on cooldown.
Yeah, portal already used, so they're just going to have to march on up to this one, but Zatex and Kendrick both going to have ult available. Car also popped as well to initiate, and Zatex follows up onto one.
Being able to get that sneaky pick off, though, is even bigger. You can keep up the sustainability. If you're Kendrick, who's got the claws, they knew what the impact was when it comes to Kendrick's Jeff, but they didn't know about the White Fox here, as Kendrick still holding on to that ultimate after they clear out another team fight.
I mean, this is why Cozy was talking about this map just being so terrifying to play against. Yeah, we lost with their dive potential, and also this comp is a little bit crazy to try and play against as well, as Cart gets velocity, so NRG are going to be backed off again, but the time is slowly ticking down here. Only a minute and 13 left.
Now Kendrick activating the Kumiho Unleashed. They found velocity earlier. Chime is going to be the next victim. Jitward taking Chime right out of the sky. Finds another victim into Stinkers. And this is what we're used to seeing from Jitward this time around.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jitward has just been incredible on Deadpool. And that's why I was surprised we didn't see him in the previous map. We saw the Venom switch, but now we're back onto Comfort and just deleting anyone who goes in his way.
Look, he's frying them. The impact that we're seeing from Jitward is so scary. Still holding on to that ultimate, ready to go too. And he's literally pushing NRG into the spawn room gates. Sinkers gets another kidnap, but was it worth it here, as Windows at least does get the punish onto Kendrick. Yeah, we lost, still holding on to these ultimates, and Xanthos and Mask are right there for the sustainability, even though they lost out on Kendrick.
So NRG now backs are well and truly against the wall, but they have plenty of ults to try and work with. Raging Royal Flush will get popped, but you're going to see lots of counters coming out. But now Stinker's taking full advantage of everyone grappled by Groot. And now NRG can start to regain control of this bus.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. You get hit with an anti of your Mantis and you pop that ultimate, and then Santos also gets staggered here. It's gonna have to be Madara trying to make some portal plays here. Maybe if he could get a little sneaky with, yeah, we lost with Mask swapping over to try to contest themselves. But we're gonna see the portal play come in now from Mask hands, trying to wrap up on the other side of the portal play out of the line of sight. Piece of the Abyss now comes in from Cart, but Zatex from the back gets the Glark trucks. Mask gets the follow-up, and you cannot stay alive. Velocity, unfortunately, two behind, getting distracted. The invisible boundary cannot help them out, and they cannot get back onto the point. As YWL have other plans and continue their run when it comes to Museum of Contemplation.
Well. It looks like, yeah, we lost, say, you know what, we've got a series on our hands. Yeah, we struggled against Gambit and Loki on domination, but very different when we move away from Dom, because it changes the entire game plan for them. The dive potential they have is insane. Jitwood just pulled off a mad... I mean, everyone on We Lost just played incredible, but Jitwood back into his comfort zone. 26k damage alongside Zatex with 27k. If you get a Vanpool playing in that way or a dual pool playing in that way, either way, it is so difficult to try and play against with the damage output they have, especially against your backliners. I mean, the fact he was able to target Velocity and Renko at times and just delete them out of the game.
The Jitward, like the last game Jitward with the Venom into Duelist Pool, Jitward on Museum with the boosted XP. 26k in terms of damage, 18 final hits. This is what we want to see here, Gaskin. That was map number 2 in the books. We got a tied series on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to distance. Don't go anywhere. We'll find out what our next map is on the other side of this break.
going on, guys, and welcome back from the break. Yeah, they just won, and they did not change up anything with the pick and ban other than their playstyle. I mean, Jit were going back and forth from tank pool to dual pool in the way that he just felt much more of a factor, obviously, in this match. And I also think, Gaskin, when you look at domination, it doesn't always tell the story, right, of what we might see with this matchup. But what was the clear thing that jumped out to you and how they won so firmly at the Museum of Contemplation?
Deleting the backline and making Gambit and Loki a non-factor. Like, yeah, you don't want to let them go through, but they said, actually, we are going to allow this. We've got a game plan, and they executed it perfectly. I think that there's always going to be a worry if the deletion of the backline doesn't happen, then you are going to be stuck in a 6v6 where you're going to be overpowered by ultimates, but they were constantly getting that pick, and I do think it was very difficult for NRG to respond.
Yeah, Vicky, that's what we say, right? You have to manage through the chaos, right? And obviously, Loki's great at that. But it did look like, obviously, they were just throwing so much at NRG constantly. And it cracks me up. People with Jitward, this is why we brought up the statistics at the beginning, where he's all the way to the top and left. He has insane eliminations, but also there's a lot of deaths involved, right? A little glass cannon build at times. It's like, I just see people, it's like Jitward's cooked, Jitward's cooking. It's like everything in between, Vicky. And I think that tells the tale very well of, yeah, we lost.
Yeah, what's the state of the food? Is it burnt already? Because you know what? In a best-of-5 series, Cozy, you already know that the distance is all about the name of the game, right? And how long can that keep going for Jitward to work off of it, right? Because you have to now look at the next map and see, okay, well, if the duelist pool was a problem, what is that pick and ban phase going to look like? What are they going to prioritize? Is it going to be different if you're on the side of NRG when you had to deal with that if you were part of the backline?
Yeah, and I think what's interesting about this team, Gaskin, is that when you look at, yeah, we lost, like, there's just immense talent on that team. And we keep saying, like, are they going to get figured out? Are they going to change things up? No, it's like pick and bans. They've got a mission. That's what they're going with. Their comp, they know exactly what they're going with. Whereas NRG, I think, definitely are a bit more calculated, what we've kind of seen from pro teams in the past. And I think that's what makes, yeah, we lost not only fun to watch, but also very threatening. And something we haven't seen very much at the pro level, because most teams that play like this get figured out over time.
Man, I was just about to say, I bet we go to Shin Shibuya, and then they bring it up like 5 seconds too quickly. I wanted to look smart. We haven't seen NRG on anything but Shin Shibuya so far this season when it comes to convergence, so I'm not really surprised. But we have seen, yeah, we lost playing it as well. It's not like NRG are unbeaten here, so it's not going to be a guaranteed win, but it is their comfort map for sure. And when you think about trying to play against, yeah, we lost, and trying to kind of set up a line here to defend against them, Shin Shibuya could be the perfect response to trying to stop Jitward in his tracks.
No, if Museum of Contemplation is like the perfect offensive map there for, yeah, we lost, this is like, you could not pick a better defensive map in the way to highlight that NRG and the styles that they play. It's funny. A lot of people, like, if you're a casual viewer, it's like lots of colors, heroes fighting each other. But when you look at it, teams have like big identities in the way that they carry and play the game. Oh, yeah. And I think that's why Shin Shibuya works. It's obviously defensive oriented, and it's definitely a Loki map. So I think if they allow that through, which Vicky, the history shown now, a couple of maps, they don't care if Loki gets through. Well, the pick and ban phase will tell the story, and we'll find out here in our first 1-1 of today, folks, as we go into Shin Shibuya. Vicky, Gaskin, let's see what we get.
A lot of firsts here, it seems like. We got our first draw earlier. Now we're going all the way to distance in this 1-1 at the very beginning. And now we get to see the Gambit and Elsa once again. Are you surprised, Gaskin, as they are going to be the first two out off the table?
So yeah, we lost. Still feel like Rogue is more of a threat as well. And as Cozy was saying, maybe the Loki does sneak through here. And even though they let it happen in the previous, I do think that Cozy is also right in the fact that this is a very different map to try and break through. That being said, if you do break through that initial point, there is a chance you can kind of keep pushing, you can keep deleting that backline, you can be very difficult to play against, and maybe NRG are going to be well aware of that. What is interesting is the protect onto Daredevil here from Yeah We Lost, because we saw in the previous two, NRG have been banning away Daredevil and not allowing it. After what we've just seen from Jitward, do we see Jitward now on the Daredevil start to go off here?
I mean, we talked about the Loki and Gaskin. Daredevil on this map is a terror to deal with, actually. So you're going to also get that information if we actually see this composition really shine through as a protect on the Doctor Strange. Is another one of Yeah We Lost's priorities. We saw this again earlier on for that first map here, and now being able to try to enable Kendrick as well, because we've seen, as you already mentioned, Gaskin, Kendrick go crazy on that Strange. The Invisible Woman is going to be the next band on top of the Mantis here too, so it's going to be the Vanpool that they want to prioritize in now the hands of Energy Shock.
So yeah, we lost one last band to try and maybe disrupt a little bit of NRG's plans here. Trying to work out what you're actually trying to do. Like, I mean, do you go for a Loki ban here after what you've seen? Especially, and you know what? I don't hate it. I don't hate it because of how impressive Wolverine has been on the side of Stinkers. That being said, I'm still worried about this Loki, but I guess we'll wait and see.
Stinkers was hovering over that Daredevil before we even got into the big and bad phase. Let's be real right now. Although, of course, there was that option to make that swap just in case. It's going to help enable Kendrick more, right? Because they saw that they were going to protect the Doctor Strange. You don't want any Amber Alerts going out here when you see some of these kidnaps, so that's going to be off the table too. Zatex, as we've already highlighted as well, Gaskin, being that flexible player. We've seen Zatex on this Ultron be a menace before too.
We have. I love that Zatex is so flexible. Haven't seen as much Ultron as Mantis, for example.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that they're not going to find an incredible amount of success here. So you do have to be careful if you are on the side of NRG. But it's going to be, yeah, we lost. Defending first then and trying to set up shop here. And I'm going to be keeping a keen eye on Jitwood on the Daredevil. But on the other side, we've got Stinkers. And it's going to be the perfect counter for one another. We always say, if you have a Daredevil on the other team, one of the best counters is just a Daredevil of your own. The real question is, who would you back? Jitwood or Stinkers? As I say that, Stinkers switches off, so never mind. We'll go to that conversation a little bit later.
He heard you. He said, I gotta do something different here. But you know what I am also afraid of, actually, is gonna be the Vanpool from Window. We saw so much damage output from Window in that first game alone, which is why, yeah, we lost, wanted to respect it in their pick and ban phase going into that second map. As we get a portal play just to open up things for NRG, already trying to rotate from that side window too, before looking at the split positioning that, yeah, we lost is currently sitting in.
Did they isolate anyone is the real question. There's going to be an absolute brawl in the room, but no connection yet. No first pick for anyone. So we are going to see NRG just stuck here and reluctant to be able to push out. They need someone to be able to just push forward and create some space for them.
Ew, the way that this fight is playing so split up. Somebody help Velocity here. He's got the Hulk on his back. Nice little snap, though, as Window falls low. So the Stinkers, they try to use the portal to block out the line of sight from the right side, but they've isolated themselves as, yeah, we lost with great coordination and Jitward shining up for, yeah, we lost on this Daredevil.
It was an interesting attempt. It was a cloak and dagger that was sent in initially because they were just expecting a close brawl and just having that extra bit of oomph on the side of the strategist perhaps. But now Renko is going to switch right back over to Gambit. Velocity very close to Ultimate as well. So we are going to see a Raging Royal Flush potentially in this next fight.
We're diving in here. Cart also has a reset available. Velocity so close to having that God of Mischief, as you already mentioned. Forces out the lamps already. Cart, job well done. Now you get the copy. Do you get the stop here as the Rage Roll Flush comes through? But the juggling is not stopped. But while you're busy juggling at the circus, 3 of your teammates from Yeah We Lost have been taken out. It's only really up to Santos and Cart, and it's just a matter of time before Energy Shock try to get this payload moving.
Yeah, NRG should get hold of this one, you'd imagine. Yeah, we lost potentially have a portal, though. So, yep, here comes the portal. Here comes the last chance to try and stop it. Kendrick does have Eye of Agamotto available as well, which, if you time it correctly, could be perfect. But now here comes Jitwood trying to get on the back line.
Oh, trying to get the Rage Roll Flush, gets to pull it off here before diving in. The Eye of Agamotto here as the Doctor Strange gets shut down. Moderate still holding on to his. No Eye of Agamotto is going to be seeing anything from Yeah We Lost. They get the payload finally off the garage, and they're going to start getting some more progress as they try to build some space. And it wasn't really that expensive, right, Gaskin? You look at Shock, they still have 2 ultimates, while Yeah We Lost at least have some sustainability once Jitward comes in too and some oppression.
Doctor Strange could have looked in the future 1,000 times, and that ultimate only gets stopped probably twice, but somehow, some way, they are able to stop it. There is no worse feeling than an Eye of Agamotto being popped, and then you just get wiped off the face of the server. That's going to be a frustrating one for Yeah We Lost, but it was desperate times lead to desperate measures, right? As now we're going to get another engagement here.
Oh, Eye of Agamotto finds Mask and Cart, but it was Mask that was together with that Kumio Unleash. Anthos gonna have the dance off here, trying to bring everybody up to health, including Cart. They're trying to push onto Suppression, considering they've already found 2. A nice freeze onto Window, and it's back to the gates for Shock. As Yeah We Lost, they get to count their blessings. So Jitward's still holding on to that Daredevil.
Jitwood makes me feel things. I'm going to be honest. I love watching this man play. It is absolutely incredible. I would detest having to play any sort of ranked mode against a player this good at destroying the back line. Daredevil has to be focused. They need to stop Jitwood from doing this much damage, but Jitwood also is going to be able to let the Devil out shortly, which just could be bad news for NRG. Windows can have ult available, maybe can do something to try and delete that back line as well. Perhaps wants to try and target Xantho.
Man, getting just stuck in the blender right now. Window at least has that ultimate. Jitward's gonna have some fun though. He can let the devil out once again. Remember, before trying to isolate from the sidelines here, Windows is trying to push in together with Shock. But Jitward's playing such a big split position. He's forcing a oh no! Zatex got exterminated himself. Letting the devil out now is gonna be Jitward, while Window is just gonna continuously get some more progress on the payload, because YWL are playing so split up right now that they still need to navigate away and prevent Shock from getting any progress.
Big Eye Nagamoto, though, out of Kendrick, which is going to be able to tag a lot, but no KO that comes out of it. With Jitward falling, it is going to be a 5 versus 6, and NRG somehow, someway have been able to survive past this and will continue to push. Cart has ult available, but probably has to back away from this and try and join the rest of the team.
Oh, you do not want to get staggered here, too. Well, Stinkers is so close to that Galactic Legend, and you already know what's going to come right afterwards, Gaskin. You got that Rage and Royal Flush to follow in this triple strat lineup that Shock are running out with. Yeah, we lost here. Now looking at a different story with Xanthos, at least having that sustained together with Mask. I got the God of Mischief is trying to get the copy here. Stinker tries to get the follow-up, but it looks like a stun here as Velocity is trying to back away. Renko at least finds Jitward.
There's that Rage and Royal Flush you were talking about, and Cart, he's behind enemy lines, but might be focused very quickly. Everyone kind of targeting at the moment, but at the same time on the other side, trying desperately to keep Cart alive. Mask gonna pop it out as well with the White Fox just to try and generate a little bit of pressure for some of these players back here.
But you get the health, too, coming in from Chime, just bringing everybody out, and the lamps are forced out, too. But we're backing away now. Yeah, we lost. Don't really have that sustain, but Cart instead finds Velocity because they don't need that sustain. 1-2 as they wipe out more of Shock, and it's going to have to be a recontest here from Shock before they dive back in together.
Yeah, they've got 1 minute 10, but you can see they are being chased down at the moment as well. I love this from Yeah We Lost, just being aggressive as they can, seeing if they can maybe catch someone to create a little bit of a stagger. But NRG looks like they have been able to group up. They're going to have one good push at this and maybe a chance of a portal if they haven't used it already. And Yeah We Lost are just going to need to hold on this one.
Going to be able to try to dive in together with Kendrick and the Eye of Agamotto. The Rage and Royal Flush is going to be the answer, though, to purify everybody. The Extermination now comes in next after Stinkers was able to get that follow-up Meteor going all the way up. Finds Xanthos. He doesn't even look at Zatex up in the sky. No elimination is going to come in together with that Extermination from Zatex. It's really only Jitward that can let the devil out, but it's going to be Shock here. Going to be able to hold forward while Cart is still unstoppable.
Yeah, Cart on Hulk is just such a terrifying thing to play against. A 70% win rate when Cart is on Hulk, and you can see why. Just oppressive and in the face of the enemies, but Velocity and Stinkers will get the opening here. Cart did ult, though, and is chasing down Renko, seeing he can find the backline. Does find it alongside Kendrick. Stinkers tries to reply. It's 3 versus 3 here in what is such an important fight.
Cart was able to turn that around, but they need to go back on the board. They're continuously stalling right now with 3 seconds on the clock. We see some swap ups. Zatex going desperately over to the Jet, but with 3 ultimates still ready for Shock. It's big to take out the White Fox. Cart and Jitward, they find the next 2, and they're so close here as the overtime takes away. They keep this fight going as Shock are waiting on the sustain from the God of Mischief here. Velocity gets this copy.
NRG are trying as they might, but surely, Yeah We Lost have enough. And now the ults are going to absolutely fly through this portal, though. NRG popping everything that they can to try and survive, but Yeah We Lost just seem to have the response to every single question that's being answered.
Looking like the legend here. Eye of Agamotto fights 2. It catches onto Jitward and Cart. There needs to be the follow-up, though. And with Xanthos still alive and having that ultimate, they keep everybody off with the dance off here. Cart is still going crazy. Beast of the Abyss, a big anti-heal comes in, but the sustain is still there for Yeah We Lost.
But Cart is just bullying everyone at the moment. Are you able to bully them off the point enough? The answer is no. They are going to have to back off somehow, some way. NRG have been able to survive this one. But again, Cart and Kendrick working in tandem to just continue to bully the opposition team, and maybe they were just delaying enough for Jitward to come in and do just this.
Cart is literally a raid boss right now. Eye of Agamotto fights 2. Otter is stunned. Window gets stunned following right afterwards, and no bodies left from Shock to stay on this point. Yeah, we lost. They fully hold them back before getting to that second checkpoint.
Have NRG done enough with how far they've pushed that cart? Typically, I would say no. I would expect another team to be able to push it a little bit further. That being said, NRG defending here have a fantastic opportunity with the heroes that are available to them to build an incredible defensive line. It's going to be very difficult for Yeah We Lost to try and break through. That being said, if we think about the previous map on Museum, when Yeah We Lost had to break through a pretty similar composition, We saw Mask jump onto the Thor. We saw how deadly they were off that initial point. And with Jitwood playing the way that he's playing right now, I'm sure that NRG are going to be a little bit concerned with this one.
I can't wait to see what the stats look like, right? Because every time we swap over to Jitward, he's just still going crazy. If it's not bouncing on their foreheads as a Vanpool or Duelist Pool, he's definitely tethering on top of them with this Daredevil. It's been lethal too, because then you still have the stall potential that Cart has. Being on this Hulk, if anything, Cart is literally driving the car and Jitward's right there, Passenger Princess making sure to give all the directions to help with these follow-ups because it's been on another level.
I just want to be a passenger princess whilst I'm being carried through. Honestly, I mean, some of these duelists don't know how good they have it with the Vanguards alongside them. But for NRG, they need to respond, and they need a long old hold on this first point. They can't allow this one to be a quick one for, yeah, we lost Xantho onto the Jeff as well. How important could that be? The last chance we're going to see Jeff with this much power before nerfs come through, or of course, they have come through in the game. But in this particular matchup, we don't have it yet in MRI.
And this is a really good Jeff map too, in my opinion. We were highlighting Loki, of course, and comes in clutch when you have that God of Mischief together with the Raging Royal Flush, but that's kind of not what Shock have been running out with, right? They made some swaps here, still sticking to Chime, being on the White Fox Velocity on that Luna. Renko getting the follow-up though, catching Jitward, not letting Jitward get away, while Shock now take the advantage in terms of numbers before backing up though. Looking at Renko specifically and how they have to split up a lot of the strat ultimates across two other strats.
They are taking them down one at a time, and they are targeting effectively our NRG at the moment. I think that's how you beat Yeah, We Lost. You have to continuously be looking at where is your priority? Who do you need to shut down first? Zatek switches over, though. Jitwood gets one as well. And just like that, NRG are falling apart. It's going to be just Window and Renko to try and hold this one, but surely Yeah, We Lost have done enough.
Window could try to stall as long as Renko gets his portal play to help go back onto the point. They haven't gotten that second checkpoint just yet, but Renko should have enough time here as they do open up the portal. They try to body block here at the same time with Mask leading the way, but it's going to be allowing them to get right back, stall for as long as possible. Cart with the counter portal play finds Renko on the other side. Talk about playmaking abilities here with Cart recognizing the swap that he had to, putting them out to the portal right on the other side.
Cart, you filthy, filthy boy, and I'm very impressed to see it, and now they're going to be able to take control of the Cart, thanks to Cart, really. Just having that innovation, having that idea as well. I know you see it in your ranked games, but to do it in pro play, insane. And now, Yeah, We Lost. Look at the amount of time they have on the clock here. They are confident at the moment. The momentum behind them is insane, and NRG at 6s and 7s.
And now you get to see Window going over to the whole card, making that swap. The Dance of the Butterflies gets cut down from the hands of Stinkers. Chime, though, incredibly low after Santos got the It's Jeff, and it's a big one at that one. He sends them to the corner, putting them in timeout, but needs some help. He can't get away. The wall being right there, unfortunate, as he cannot reach the health pack that is right behind Jitward.
It's another 2, though, for NRG, so Yeah, We Lost. Just going to have to back off, allow this one a little bit, but the difficulty NRG are having, a lot of it is caused by Cart, not just the portal play, but on Hulk has just been so difficult to try and go up against, and maybe that's why we're seeing the switch here. Window onto Hulk, Madara onto Thing. They are trying to counteract just how difficult it's been to go up against Hulk.
This is always the issue, too, when you're having to deal with Jitwood, but a beautiful stun, actually. Stops letting the devil out. Unfortunately, the lawyer's going back to the drawing board here, maybe taking something out of his briefcase because it's all up to Stinkers here to help clear the point. A great stall, and they prevented Jitwood from having a lot done with that ultimate, too.
Speaking of ultimates, look how healthy NRG look at the moment, ready and prepared for this next one. It's going to be a long hold if they do want to win this map, but it is definitely still achievable for them. They just need to avoid this a little bit of pressure, and now you start to push back. With the White Fox ultimate activated, you really have to take advantage of the space that can be created for it, as just jumping, bouncing on the back line. Kendrick goes down, Xantho falls afterwards.
I just heard Mask go all the way up with that Thor ultimate and then get stunned right out of it. Meanwhile, Chime taking the claws right over to the Hulk after Mask then finds the Luna. That's a big pickoff. You will not have that resustain from that Luna ultimate too, so it's going to have to be another reset here, as Shock at least have been able to regain their footing here on this defense.
So a little bit of a slowdown. And reassessing a Yeah, We Lost, and just waiting for some of those ultimates to tick over to the 100%. Zatex is going to have Rage of Ultron available. Mask close to having Thor's ult as well. This is going to be a difficult hold for NRG. A lot of pressure is going to be on velocity. Can't get picked, though. Need to be careful. Needs protection. Getting hunted down by Cart, but then there you go. The dance floor is there and available for them if they want to use it, and it will be popped.
You're going to be able to pop that button near with the fate of both worlds. It's time for the dance up from both sides here, but going all the way up is going to be Mask with that ult, at least finding the White Fox right in between that. Kendrick does get stunned. Sinkers is still unstoppable right now, trying to harass the Luna, but a great follow-up and some help with the peels as Kendrick gets the 2K.
Yeah, we lost are going to continue pushing, and they are so close to winning this map and taking the lead in this series. Now, of course, there is still time for NRG. Renko is going to have Raging Royal Flush available, though. Madara's going to have a available via Thing as well, so they can get very aggressive here and try and force back. But that stun is huge there to deny any sort of push initially, but now they are brawling with their fists.
Oh, they're trying to jump them. The reset. Talk about the timing right there with the Kumiho Unleash, even getting hit with an anti. But look how quick the Kumiho Unleash almost gets melted down. Somebody help Kendrick. The teleport was available, getting right back together with the rest of the team. But it's going to be Worldbreaker Hook coming in. The stun with the clobbering time. Catches out with the White Fox. Cart can only live for so long after the reset came out too. And with no sustainability, it's up to Jitwork to be the nail in the coffin to clear out the rest of Shock.
Zaytax being such a nuisance on Ultron as well, just absolutely frying everyone in their wake. Stinkers does get one, but it's not going to be enough to hold back. Yeah, we lost to continue to push, continue to dominate here, and they are so close to taking this.
This is insane right now. Look at this. Yeah, we lost two with Cart going right back over to the Hulk. I was wondering here because he won over to the Doctor Strange time now. Needs a push. No way! I thought they were going to activate the Kumiho Unleash a little earlier, but they don't even close in the gap. Yeah, we lost. Take another map and an unexpected outcome right now versus NRG.
Drama alert. There is a chance that we might see a big old upset happening here. I know, yeah, we lost have looked incredible at times throughout the group stage, but there was definitely the expectation that NRG would come into this one and show what it's like to be the more experienced team, the more experienced roster. But yeah, we lost, have reacted so well to that first initial map when it looked like they were completely outclassed, completely outsmarted with the lock and ban phase. Was it all just part of their master plan, it seems? Because now it seems like they have the answers to those questions that NRG were posing. And when you look at these stats, Vicky, I mean, if you have a player like Jitwood on your team, you are going to be feeling as free as anything to be able to maraude your way around the map. And it just seemed like, yeah, we lost had that little bit of extra something in some of these fights.
I would not want to be the backline of Shock right there to deal with Jitward, man. 39 and 9, 12 final hits, and also Cart going crazy with the 10 final hits on top of Kendrick. Like, talk about the flexibility. You talk about Cart pulling up with the Hulk, and I cannot wait to see what Yeah We Lost have up their sleeve as we get ready for our next map, and that's coming to us shortly on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back. It is now 2-1 with Yeah We Lost taking both of the last games. Gaskin said an upset is brewing, and Gaskin, I don't call it upset. I call it predicted as planned. I was the man with the sword drawn against the army of the predictions. I believed, man, this team, I feel like, yes, sometimes they could lose anybody, but man, could they beat anybody.
I mean, I learned not to count my chickens too quick. If that's the saying, it's probably not. I might have made it up. But careful, Cozy. It might come back to bite you. But I tell you what, you look like a genius right now because you're right. Yeah, we lost. Map 1, I was thinking, all right, yeah, 3-0. There's no way this is going to be a close one at all. But yeah, we lost. Have found something here. They found a way to counteract the Gambit Loki that's going down. And you were mentioning it in the break there when we were chatting. You don't allow Jitwood on Daredevil is what we've learned. We've only seen him on Daredevil once so far this season. And you can imagine how that went. And now our second time visiting it, again, it has gone the same way.
Yeah, for sure. We were just saying that about, velocity and don't give the strategist Loki and Gambit. Now it's on the inverse with the Daredevil. I mean, Vicky, I felt like, first of all, Hero Hulk card. I mean, just the pure Gamma God himself holding down the fort there at the end of the defensive hold. That was absolute cinema in the making, but it just felt like they adjusted well also. You know, the Mantis band having Zatex, it's like at first I'm like, oh, no, where's the Phoenix? No, he plays Ultron, and it's tough sometimes to go from that duelist role into the strategist. Did a great job at that. They now bring it to Yggdrasil's path, which is kind of where I thought they might go. Now, if you were an NRG fan or you predicted NRG, Vicky, how do you right the ship?
Oh man, I mean, at this point, I feel like now you know the tricks that Yeah We Lost have up their sleeve, and you don't want to have the Deadpool come out. You gotta make sure that Deadpool does not see the light of day. I feel like, Cozy, because it's definitely one of those maps that you could see the Deadpool really pop off.
Yeah, and you know what? It's crazy, Gaskin, about this team is like they don't care if people know their tricks. Like they know what they're going with, and that's just how this team rolls. You know, if you want the meta, look somewhere else. I think Vicky makes a great point. I think this is obviously going to lend its strength towards that. You can't let Jeff here, most likely, either. We'll see what they end up going into. Can we get ourselves a 2-2? Honestly, I would expect nothing less with the U2 as we have Vicky and Gaskin bringing in NRG versus Yeah We Lost. Big upset potential. Here we go.
All right, let's get this going. Let's see with Yeah We Lost currently sitting at match point. They want another one here, Gaskin, in our best of 5. And I believe when we saw Yeah We Lost specifically on Yggdrasil, didn't they win like 2-1 versus Lunex? So this is like obviously a map that they also feel comfortable with NRG, trying to take them here and seeing what we have differently with the pick and ban phase already rolling out here. Also protect here for Yeah We Lost.
As expected, I mean, it's going pretty much the same way at the moment. We've seen how it's gone previously. The real question is, do you allow Daredevil to get through? Do you allow Jitwood to do it yet again? The Protect is initially going to be on the Elsa. That makes complete sense. He wouldn't protect Daredevil that early. That being said, after he's just played, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I would like to just give Jitwood the floor and allow him to do his thing, especially when he's not playing Spider-Man. Don't get me wrong, he is very good on Spider-Man, but you put him on a meta hero, and suddenly it is a different game. There is the Protect onto the Daredevil. It has been let through, and the Devil is going to be let out.
I mean, if anything, at this point, if you're shocked, you want to do anything possible to make sure that you have an anti-dive comp that you could roll out with and not help enable what Yeah We Lost has rolled out with. Instead, of course, you could expect that Loki Gambit to continue going with Shock, but it's obviously Yeah We Lost that show no fear as they protect the Wolverine. And we did see Yeah We Lost ban that out before because Stinkers having such a high priority in getting these kidnap targets made it so hard on that first map, but they now have it in their pocket after it was banned in that previous map.
This has been a lock and ban phase of mind games throughout every single one of these maps. They're like, okay, well, you had this last map, but we're not going to allow you to have it this one. Oh, you banned this from us? Well, we're going to protect it now. It's just a lot of back and forth here where you can definitely see where the comfort lies for both of these teams. But as I was saying, leading up to this series, both teams are so flexible and so versatile with their hero selection. When you look across some of the other squads, I mean, in particular, I'll talk Team Liquid, for example, just because they are one of our prime teams, or if not the prime team. Their selection is pretty straightforward across the board. Like, Cooper always on Luna, NRG always on Elsa, Nero pretty much always on White Fox. Like, they know the heroes they're going to play because they know what is usually banned in the meta. Whereas, yeah, we lost it at NRG. They're like, well, actually, we're going to try and do something a little bit different here. Our bans might be a little bit off meta as well. We might go for something more targeted, and that means we might have to play a little bit different ourselves. And that's what has created such an interesting matchup here.
I think it's also really interesting to see how YWL is forcing the Hulk Ditto to come out, because they know that Cart has been able to diff Window when we did see them face off against each other in that Ditto match with the double Hulk, because now you don't have Vanpool, right? And that's something that Window was really excelling on. And again, being one of those maps, YWL already noted, all right, we're not going to let that go through the build-up on the XP2, and we're going to see something different here as Velocity makes that swap over to that Cloak and Dagger after giving everyone some of those extra shields.
Well, are we going to see a response from NRG then and send us all the way to the 5th map here in this best of 5? I'm sure they would love to get another domination after their first performance here, but it all starts trying to break out of this initial point and try and get one of these picks. A lot of responsibility to Stinkers, of course, as this Wolverine.
Ooh, Kendrick was so low. Unfortunately, cannot back away in time because Chime rolls out on the Phoenix Mask, gets stunned, he gets kidnapped, and with nobody looking at him, it's going to be an assassination in the backline. Shock now playing very split as they take down YWL 1 by 1.
We do see sometimes, yeah, we lost go for these very split fights intentionally, but when it happens unintentionally, very difficult to try and plan for. And that's exactly what NRG want to try and do, disrupt the plan that we see from Yeah, We Lost at the moment. And Stinker's doing exactly what the job that was set out to do. But now on the other side, we are going to see Jitwood on Daredevil trying to get behind enemy lines, but it's Stinkers again who gets the opening pick.
It's a bird, it's a plane, no, it's a really scary Wolverine, and of course, it's at the hands of Stinkers. Now you noted why that we saw those bands come out in that last map. And Chime, something else to know when it comes to Gear Solo is that you have so much of these open sight lines. It's going to help enable more of that poke, especially the damage output that we're currently seeing from Chime.
I mean, we have seen teams keep the other squad at that point at the start of this matchup over and over and over again throughout the history of this game. So the fact that we have seen NRG break out so successfully, I think there was good reason why they protected that Wolverine. It might be a bit of a different story when they're on the defense side, but right now, Stinkers is doing his job.
Exactly, and Mass is going to be able to utilize that man and on the other side here with that strap pull instead. Actually, another different look, but with the stun and the follow-up, he comes slamming down with the end song Infernal, and then Stinkers has the last word. Yeah, we lost, get wiped out, and Shock clearing the path now for that first checkpoint.
I mean, that was pretty much as perfect as it could be for NRG. They've now got plenty of time going into the next. No worries for them here. And in terms of ults that are available, Velocity going to have one. Yeah, We Lost do have a response of their own, though. We'll have to see whether Jitwood's going to try and let the devil out to really disrupt this backline as well. A lot of damage was done onto Window, and that's why it's just a response of an ult. But look at the stun as well, just to stop the push-in. But all the meanwhile, this convoy is moving.
Gonna be able to have the 1v1 though here from the right side, as it's gonna be a reset once again once that ultimate ends. And now it's gonna be Cart's turn as he jumps right here onto the point. Madara with the meatball goes all the way up, and after finding Jitward, finds Zatex next. The duelists are off the table for YWL, and that's what Xantho's trying to have the dance of, trying to keep everybody alive. Still gets Cart right out into the Bruce Banner form, and another kidnap here as Madara is making an entire highlight reel of his play right now on this Magneto.
It's another Eye of Agamotto that goes to waste as well. NRG able to survive through it. I mean, they had already taken down 2 players, so I'm surprised it got popped. Maybe it's going to be a switch over. Yeah, it has to be. Okay, so that's why. They just popped the Eye of Agamotto, and now they're going to switch over. You can see Kendrick moving to Jeff, trying to create a little bit of a difference here on the Sharky Boy himself. And now NRG, though, are still moving this one forward.
Cart getting stunned again here. No 2 to match that from the other side. Renko close to that Raging Royal flush. Want to get that damage? I'll put the final stand, though. Comes in, and Chime gets the follow-up onto Santos. The Glartrax gets sent out, and Jitward lets the devil out. Window coming right back to help out the rest of his team, finding them. But Cart and Mask are splitting up Shock, and now it's back to the drawing board and some time wasted as they're going to be able to stall them out. And it's great, too, because it cuts off their momentum that they built up.
They do have Raging Royal Flush available, though, here at NRG, so they're going to be feeling pretty confident about this fight. Oh, my goodness, what's happening over there? Hitting those shots through that gap, by the way, just shouldn't be allowed. But now we see the portal, and now we see the push.
trying to contest here. Stinker is going to be diving right in and out of the portal himself. Looking at that Raging Royal Flush together with Chime that could get a lot of that damage done here. Mask tries to get the isolation, being on that Fan Pool, activates that ultimate, but with a winning hand, Jitward isn't going to be winning much here because it's going to be Window capitalizing thanks to Renko and that Raging Royal Flush. Someone's got to contest here on the point. Shock are just taxing this payload over here to the second checkpoint. A nice anti too with a follow-up. Stinkers does find Mask, and now Shock down to a 5-man right now. A stun onto Renko. Velocity's very close to the Eternal Bond. They try to keep everybody alive, and Kendrick could keep this going. He activates the It's Jeff. Does he catch anybody here as Kendrick cannot get away?
And still here in MRI preseason, I think we've only seen one successful It's Jeff throughout. Just so difficult with how good everyone is at responding.
Oh my.
Window's been able to find 2, and surely now NRG should push this one through to get to this second point. There's going to be an attempt at maybe jumping on. Does come through, but Cart's gone down. Mask is going to follow, and they are dropping like flies here, and the second point is secured.
Window said, it's my turn now. It's my turn to pop off on the Hulk. Going to be able to find not only just 1, 2, but then clearing off the rest of the point as Shock now at least have the Eye of Agamotto themselves. Let's see what Madara could do flying in from the heavens before Chime now over to the side is creating so much of this open sightline for free.
Eye of Agamotto pops. Eye of Agamotto hits, but now you're going to see everyone start to respond to their own. Glartrox does come out, doesn't really connect though, but Zatex does connect, and now they will be bullying NRG back with that extra little bit of damage that's been done, although Chime was able to get 1, so it's not going to be the easiest push in the world. Keep an eye on Renko though. Raging Royal Flush is free.
And with the Raging Royal Flush available, I'm looking at Sinkers too, who does have that Devil to let out. Same thing for Jitward though, but won't really have that damage boost that Shock will in their favor. All eyes too on Mask to see how he can help stall for as long as possible. He's going to be the first to open things up. Letting the Devil out is going to be Stinkers together with that Raging Royal Flush. And with no damage boost necessary, Jitward at least finds 1, but it's too much as Shock at least clear up another one. Cart needs to be stopped though. No one look at him before he backs away. And he already said goodbye to 2 of his other teammates. So it's just a matter of time before the stall is inevitable. And he's forced to go back, but he survives at 205 health. He manages to get back to his spawn room gates.
Yep, going to be able to get healed as well when the strategists come back through, just about surviving, but more importantly, NRG are still pushing. Chime gets one of the Zatex as well, so now it's going to be a very difficult fight, unless Jitwood can let the Devil out and maybe do some damage, but holding it at the moment, doesn't want to pop it unnecessarily, waiting for the right time and the right rhyme or reason to be able to pop it through.
It's waiting too because Velocity is still holding on to that Eternal Bond. Wait for it though, trying to ice to the backline. Does find the other Daredevil, and there's Velocity with the answer on the Eternal Bond. Stinkers shuts down Jitward. The It's Jeff gets countered as Chime dives on top of the Shark's head. Gaskin, you're talking about the success rate, not being very high. It's very difficult. The momentum being built back up for Shock, but the stall is still here. They're not getting progress on the Cart just yet because Cart has been such a menace. Once again, the raid boss.
Jitwood switching over to old-fashioned Spidey and is going to be able to work in tandem with the rest of the squad. They should win this engagement and should be able to reset NRG here, meaning NRG are going to have, maybe 30 seconds to try and get this one over the line to get the full 3 points. Yeah, we lost need to hold here. You don't want to allow NRG to get the full 3.
I'm gonna know, maybe. The portal is gonna be inevitable. So I'm looking at Jitward to see if he can get a portal cancel, if that's what they want to open up with. Windows coming right back together, as well as Madara having the Eye of Agamotto. Look at Mask on these off angle. The Glartrox, though, up on the balcony bridge, finds Madara. No chance here. And you're down now less than 15 seconds on the clock for Shock to at least force this into a stall.
It's going to be an ult on the Hulk. Window needs to try and get onto the point, and that is going to be the aim of the game here. Enough time to get Madara just having the portal and get everyone back on the point. Eye of Agamotto now comes out, his last stand here for NRG.
And it only finds Cart, though. That's going to be big. Sentinels is still alive, but Window and Madara, they open up the gates after finding Zatex and Cart. Moving back together, they need to get on the Cart with overtime taking away. They've isolated the Jeff, though. Kendrick is still in the back lines. They're going to be able to recontest right now, playing the split angle, as Jitward, unfortunately, is called out on the Spider-Man.
Jitwood gets deleted. Zatex, though, responds with one of their own, and we are going to see a fantastic effort from We Lost to try and stop this, but as you said, they are being forced back. Kendrick will get one off spawn. Zatex follows up. I don't think NRG are going to have the stamina to get through this one, but boy, are they going to try.
They didn't look at Kendrick, who was still in the back right there, too. He's got the It's Jeff. They find Stinkers, and nobody to touch the point. Means that Shock get held right before the finish line.
I mean, it was still a great distance from NRG. I think they'll be pretty happy about it. It's very clear this map fits their style more and more. I love what Cozy was talking about. It's something that we've been discussing throughout preseason in general, how styles of play are going to be affected on maps, and especially with more maps being released and catering to certain styles of play, we are going to see those map picks being more and more important. And when, you know, sometimes in certain games, you'll look at some stats on map wins and map losses, and you're like, yeah, whatever, you know, any team can win on any map. I think it's going to be a very different case the further we get into MRI this year, just as it was last year, where certainly some styles are very much going to be benefited on certain maps, and we will see teams prioritizing them for sure.
And we've also seen how hard it's been so many times for teams to even finish off on your Yggdrasil when they're on the attack. So being able to even get that far, though, is going to be great for Shock now as they start things off on the defense, seeing if they want to change things up here before. Yeah, we lost. Mask heard you, Gaskin. The Thor has been putting in the work. We're going to see if they're going to be able to roll out with this, as well as Kendrick getting a little tricky with the Jeff, as well as sneaky and harassing that back line.
Well, Mask has been doing what basically we've seen on the other side from Stinkers on the Wolverine. Mask has been doing something similar, has just been griefing and getting behind and deleting when needed to on the side of Thor, and we'll have to see where they can do it again, because breaking out of this initial hold is really the aim of the game here for Yeah, We Lost. It was very easy and simple for NRG, but if they can delay here, eat away at that clock early, then maybe it'll be difficult for them as Stinkers full sends it here, and alongside Velocity and Window, it is just like that. Yeah, We Lost walk into a wall of death.
Oh, Shock, they took what happened in that last map personally. They were like, all right, well, when we TP'd into that side room against Dive, and we immediately got deleted. Well, guess what? Yeah, we lost, of course, with their backs against the wall in that own private side room here. And now with another wipeout, Cart, we're coming right back over onto the Hulk, but Jitward has been on fire with this Daredevil.
Absolutely on fire as well, but Velocity has to be careful. Will be assisted by the other strat, and now we're going to see Zatex try and get aggressive here and push in, dealing as much damage as possible. And there we go, Chime and Stinkers get the opener, so Zatex going to have to try and back off. And Yeah, We Lost just cannot get through the hold at the moment from NRG.
It's a lot of damage to deal with Kendrick being on the Jeff and Santos being on the Luna. Is it going to be enough? That's what I was wondering. They make the swap over to the Cloak and Dagger instead. Remember, they literally have all 4 strat bands targeted towards them. So you only can play so many strategists here with this lineup too before you see Masters trying to take a different split angle, getting information together to enable Jitward. Before you see the Terror Cape coming out as well as Zatex having to be a little careful as inside that bubble.
Zatex just constantly blind, but he's going to be able to find Stinkers through it. Renko has all available and will use it as well, so NRG are going to take full advantage of that. Get on the carpet and start to push it through. But now we're going to see it's Jeff. Will we see a successful one? The answer is no. It kind of was. It was a protect. So maybe that's the way you use it's Jeff.
It was worth it here. I mean, at least you were able to get the reset here. Stall at the potential as Zatex then gets Velocity. That's a big pick. You will not have that Luna Snow Fate of both worlds for this fight here. Window also at least has a Feast of the Abyss, but he's going to have to wait for the rest of his team to reset.
Dude, I can't imagine how the observers are feeling. I'm going cross-eyed trying to keep up with Jitwood, and I'm sure everyone else is as well. That is the danger of having Jitwood on the back line, or in that instance, just right in the faces of the Vanguards. And now, Yeah, We Lost finally are able to break out of that initial hold. But NRG will get the chance to try and stop this first point from being taken. Mask is going to try and get ahead here, and maybe seeing if he can delete someone trying to get on the back line. But it is going to be Window who dives on in to stop that car.
Point of view, you're Jitward's camera and you're getting car sick while you're looking at it as he jumps on your head in a different form. Cart, though, going crazy. He's going to be able to find Chime. It's going to be the reset coming in right afterwards. Madara with the Meteor goes up and finds Zatex, though. A nice little stun for right now as we do take a quick pause. But it was a lot of action happening, and there was still at least 1 minute and 23 seconds on the clock, Gaskin.
Yeah, I mean, plenty of time to do so. And of course, Cozy, that means that we get to bring you back in as well. I mean, pretty hectic. As I said, Jitwood just confusing everyone and maybe confusing himself at times with the way he's been able to dance on the Daredevil. But they did allow the Daredevil to get through again, but it has been a good hold so far.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think they've done a good job. Minute 23 seconds left. I mean, it feels like if you're looking at Yeah, We Lost, the way that they can stagger so much is what has won them the last couple of maps. I mean, Cart Card just seems like he is just deniable at these clutch moments. And it's been a lot of fun to watch him. But yeah, it's definitely interesting to see. First of all, the spectators, definitely have carpal tunnel at this point because it is mad just tracking Jitward. But I think that's what you get with him as a player. You're going to get some ups, you're going to get some downs. But right now, I think NRG is doing a good job kind of settling in and calming things down. We keep talking about that with this team. Trying to play calm and play your game because you're not able to scrim against a team like this that much. Maybe, to some level, but not to what We Lost will bring. I think they're finally kind of, coming together here. Want to ask you, though, Vicky, do you think NRG holds the line?
I honestly, with the way that We Lost is playing, I think the biggest struggle if you're We Lost, and this isn't the direct answer, I'm going to get to it, Cozy, is the fact that the strategists have so much limitations with the fact that they have they have Gambit banned, Invis banned, Mantis banned, and White Fox banned. There's only so much you could rotate through. Like Rocket BRB would go hard, but you're on the attack this time around, right? You're trying to clear up some space, want to enable cart, and Jitward is still distracted the backline. I personally think if We Lost gets some momentum, it's going to be scary, and I think that they could get that cart to right before that third checkpoint.
Okay, Gaskin?
I think time might be against them a little bit. NRG definitely did this first one quicker, and they're going to have that advantage, and I think that, well, we're at a pause where NRG can have a chance to defend yet again here. I wouldn't be surprised if they're able to hold us out to maybe overtime, but we'll have to wait and see.
No, absolutely. And I feel like, when you look at what NRG can do at this break, as we are here, actually, I'll let you guys take it away.
Oh, thank you so much, Cozy, because we are diving right back into the action. No breaks this time around. We did see the Eternal Bond come in from Santos right beforehand. And with Kendrick finding the follow-up here, this goes back to what we were saying, Gaskin. Zatex is getting enabled. And We Lost are close to getting that second checkpoint with Chime maybe trying to make a portal play.
There we go. Chime is going to be able to allow everyone to push through, but because they have forced themselves through while players were still down, they are staggered slightly, and that might just play into the hands of Jitward, who start to let rip again. Stinkers is the first to go down, and now there's going to be follow-ups, and there's the break. We lost slam NRG, and are surely about to push this point through.
That's not lore accurate name to We Lost. They're winning right now with the way that they're taking over a lot of these fights. The reset, we see some changes now coming out of Shock, going right back over to this triple strat. Look at this window going over to that Venom Chime now, this time onto the White Fox. They have to help enable Stinkers right now because Zatex and Kendrick, they have those ultimates online for this next fight.
So I will say there is an extra minute that NRG had when they had got to that point. They had 4 to push from this second point. We lost are only going to have 3. So they need to try and make this one a little bit faster. But with that initial pick onto Jitward, Velocity getting it, it is just going to hold them back a little bit now. We lost as they have to retreat ever so slightly to this corner. NRG are going to be more than happy to hold this lane here and continue to press their advantage when they have that extra player.
And we know it's so hard to try to beat through this choke once the team is already set up from the defensive side. And that was all thanks to Stinkers, by the way, who marked Santos from being able to help support Jitward and Cart, who were pushed all the way up. Again, though, economy, looking at We Lost, they have the advantage. Rainbow could keep everyone alive. Same thing for Chime, though. You're going to have the Eternal Bond sent out from the side of Shock, painting the floor purple. Santos is going to be able to match that together. And it's going to be Zatex with the Glarchuk, who's hungry. And it's going to be Renko from the other side, taking Renko out and also taking that Eternal Bond out with them as the Itch Step also comes in. It's the way that these ultimates are being rotated from We Lost as they find pick after pick.
They are hungry and they are feasting. But again, it is about time here. It is about being efficient. I do think it's likely we see We Lost get this second point, but it is going to be about trying to push through that third. How many times do we see teams not quite reach that third point, just getting stuck on that corner? But NRG now trying to press up together. Cart being aggressive, very aggressive. Will use the ult as well. Bruce Banner starting to pop off as he gets bigger and bigger, but NRG get the opener. Jitward gets shut down by Stinkers.
In that 1v1, Daredevil v Daredevil with Stinkers coming out on top before diving down. Kendrick gets us the finishing blow with his own Hydro Pump before backing away. The Daredevil now on top of him, but with some help, he was reloading. Unfortunate. They lost it on 2 this time, while Jitward comes right back, make it 3 with Mats going down. And this is the reset that Shock needed because look at all the resources that they still have in their pocket for the next fight.
Chime just holding off and waiting. But it is going to be Stinkers Velocity. Matter are all going to have ults available here, and I'm sure just waiting to use that Meteor M as a defensive rather than an offensive ultimate at the moment. But here comes Stinkers. Kendrick gets deleted, and now they can follow through.
Oh, was that pause worth it? I don't know. NRG Shock right now are running with it after finding Max to follow up. You're down to less than 30 seconds on the clock, and Jitward and Zatex will have those ultimates online. Depending on how long this fight goes to Gaskin, Kendrick and Santos could keep them alive.
And they can't surprise them as well. As Stinkers being on the Daredevil, they've just got so much information about which way they're going to be pushing for. One last push then from Yeah We Lost. Zatex and Jitward both having ultimates.
See how they're going to be able to work into this, too, with Velocity having that sustainability. Window gets stunned here. Jitward's letting the devil out, though. Trying to take that lower to court as he needs the sustainability. He needs help. He gets stunned. He gets grabbed. Window going crazy, but it's a trade-up on both ends. Both of the Daredevils are off the table. Mask has a reset opportunity right here, and Santos is going to have the Eternal Bond first. Renko is so close to it. He just gets it online, so they get the reset, and Chime is going to be able to follow right after it's done.
Meteor M came out, didn't really do anything. Now we're going to see the Glartrox will penetrate through. Grabs 2, if not 3. It's Jeff comes out, but Kendrick does not get away. Stinkers denies. Stinkers gets the initial KO. Zatex goes down, and NRG are holding here.
Can Jitward make the comeback, though? He swapped over to that Strange before. Was that portal even used up here before? Stinkers has their own highlight reel when the world needed him most here for Shock.
Overtime is there. It's surely not going to be there for long, though, because NRG are just pummeling Yeah We Lost, and we are going to a map 5.
Going the distance, here we go, and this is what I like to see when we start off our preseason bracket. Gaskin, Shock, take us the distance in a tied series. Game number 5, now we're going to have to see what these teams are going to do differently, because it's literally been a game of patty cake going back and forth. Talk about the Hulk plays, and at the very end, the Daredevil plays from Stinkers as we take a look at the results.
And we might see, for the first time in playoffs, certainly in Americas anyway, the benefit of the best of 5 instead of the best of 3. Remember, if this was group stages, we would have seen Yeah We Lost win this one. And we've heard that from a few of the more structured teams who like to plan out things. They say, if this was a best of 5, we would have won it. Well, this is a chance for NRG to now prove themselves here. Have they been able to finally work things out from Yeah We Lost, or has it been a map thing? And remember, if we end up going to domination here in map 5, are Yeah We Lost going to be at a significant disadvantage against an NRG team who had their number all the way back in map 1? Yeah We Lost fans probably nervous. Cozy, maybe a little bit nervous as well, I would imagine, because we certainly know that he really has been the only player to predict them, certainly out of us lot. Well, that is going to be such an incredible matchup that we've seen, Vicky. But we still have more to come. This series is still alive. Map 5 is right around the corner, folks. Do not go anywhere. We will be right back after this break.
friends, and welcome back. Sleep is overrated. We have found ourselves going the distance. And Gaskin, I think you closed it perfectly. This is the difference between best of 3 versus best of 5. And why BO5 is so important, because it's a game of adjustments. All sports are, right? Especially esports. How do you adjust and how do you continue on to try to get momentum back in your favor? Now, obviously, NRG got to pick the last couple of maps, and so now, yeah, we lost. They get to, choose the path of their destiny. It's in their own hands. But Gaskin, we talked at the break there. How do you think NRG was able to slow things down and kind of put it back in their favor?
It was the way NRG were able to isolate some of those fights. I think having the Daredevil in particular, just be able to call out where those flanks were coming from and say, oh, look, this is the push they're trying to get. This is where Jitwood is. Let's take Jitwood out of the equation. The amount of times you saw Jitwood shut down initially and not being given the freedom that he had in the previous just made it very difficult. A lot of 6 versus 5 fights in general. But I think that their fights were just quick. They were clean. They were prioritizing very well. And in the previous maps, it was a bit messy. It was a bit all over the place, and NRG seemed a little bit flustered at times. But when they are structured, when they're feeling good, they look very strong.
Vicky, do you feel like the White Fox ban also helped a little bit? I think, you look at Shin Shibuya and the way that was played for Yeah We Lost, with not having access to that. And you pointed out at the break, I mean, pretty much no strategists were access to them, right? They really had to adjust. So we saw they got rid of the Mantis. They went over to the Ultron. We had Zatex go to the Ultron, right? That's how they adjusted there. Well, when you get rid of, all 4 picks for strategists, what do you do then?
You only got, so that's literally my worst nightmare to deal with. If I were to see that ban lineup, it's like, all right, okay. So now you only have 3 other strats that you could try to lean on. And I feel like that was the big difference maker, because then you look on the other side, Shock had the triple strat lineup, and then they were also able to enable Stinker to, by the way, had 19 finals. That's actually insane. You talk about the Daredevil up your sleeve. It's like everybody's Polly Pocket, right? It's gonna be the Pocket Daredevil. This is gonna be able to come out and be enabled. So I do think in this pick and ban phase, it's also gonna put a little bit of fear into trying to prioritize and helping out your backline.
No, that's a great point. And, as we know, with it being 2-2, I'm pretty sure domination is what we're going to be going and looking at here. Obviously, we know how domination worked out the first time, and it was really in NRG's favor. I think it could have been a little bit of nerves for Yeah We Lost to go in. Remember, what I think is so funny is we kind of highlight Lunex all the time as the MRC team. The MRC team, Yeah We Lost, same kind of, feeling for them and coming from the exact same thing. Obviously, they were the winners of it. But, when we looked last year, we talked, for a team like Nemesis, and they said sometimes the lights were bright and just adjusting to it. Well, this is, when you see what you're made of. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, and I do think that with domination, a lot of it comes down to the neutral at times, because you can make so much time or percentage with the neutral initially. And if you look at what's happened a lot of the time with the neutral from Yeah We Lost, they've been losing out to NRG without the ultimates. Once they get into the swing of things and they have the ults to work with as well, and they know how they want to plan their attack, they look far more comfortable. But I do think that NRG have that slight advantage in terms of just raw ability that is going to take them over the line when it comes to domination.
Yeah, I think, honestly, we're going to find out very quickly how this domination is going to go. We're going to see our map here as we get things rolling and Jarvis gets it going. But, I think this is, with domination, from what I've seen from Yeah We Lost, they either come out humming or it's the direct opposite. And this has actually been uncharted territory, right? Yeah We Lost either is 2-0'd or whatever, and they get 0-2'd. And now it's kind of this back and forth battle. But this is what I love about the America scene. Obviously, it's chaos. We know that. But it just feels like these teams are all very neck and neck. Even Lunex, the way they were, it's very close in anybody's game. And this is just showing to the max, Vic.
Yeah, and I like how you bring up, now that we're moving on to Dom, what is that going to mean for both these teams? Because I feel like Yeah We Lost, I believe, is 50-50 on their win rate on domination in general. But NRG, on the other hand, have had a much rougher time on domination. I believe, looking at group stages alone, that they were 2-3 on domination. Now, as we move on here, it looks like we're moving on to Hell's Heaven. And this could spell a different story depending on how that pick and ban phase goes.
Hell's Heaven. I mean, I would sign up for Stinkers versus Jitward on a little Daredevil v Daredevil at Hell's Heaven. That would be the perfect cinematic ending, which seems like such a chaotic day. We're just getting started. I mean, again, I'm going to have to get more lights on in here because it is already getting nice and dark, but that is what I'm all about, right? It's always going to be more fun after. But taking a look, Hell's Heaven going to be the matchup. Gaskin, who do you think favors, obviously looking at the map? Yeah We Lost picked it, but we've seen them both play here a couple times.
Yeah We Lost have been able to find victories here. We haven't seen NRG find a victory here. So technically, advantage goes to the side of Yeah We Lost. But again, if we go back to map 1, Yeah, we lost. Looked a little lost at times, and they need to clean things up if they're going to be able to play the way they do. That being said, if Jitwood is able to get the Daredevil here on this map, could be big for him. Because if you think about map 1, that Daredevil was banned out. He didn't have the chance to just have that freedom, look that good. He was playing on the Spidey. Then he switched over to the Venom. Never really found his footing, but now, as the series has gone on, has looked better and better. Sure, got a little bit isolated in that last game, but in domination could be the difference maker going into this 5th and final map here in our 3rd series of the day.
Well, Vic, if we know anything, if you look back to the last couple of weeks, we know that when NRG is pushed to the pressure right here, they always seem to get the win against when they had 100 Thieves and with Sentinels. I mean, it's always right there for them, and they end up punching their ticket. I'm sweating it because I'm the one against the army here. You guys are all going to be right if I lose, but it's just, this has been fun, Vic, and I'm excited for you guys to bring in all of the action. I mean, Bandface, here we go. Let's see what we've got. It is going to be match number 5. Of course, the best of 5. Loser goes to the lower bracket. Take it away, guys.
Thank you, Cozy. Okay. Our last game in our 3rd series, and we have gone the distance. You know what? Cozy was highlighting and opening up this series here, Gaskin, and he could literally come out looking like a prophet as we come in with the Elsa and Gambit ban.
Yeah, this is where we're going to see the mind games in full effect now. With it being Hell's Heaven as well, does that change things a little bit on your bans? And knowing what we've seen Jitwood do on Daredevil as well, do you want to let it get through? The initial ones are going to be the simple ones. It's when we get to those final picks that might be different. This would be very... Wow. Yeah, we lost protecting initially the Daredevil straight up. So that means we've got the chance for a Gambit and an Elsa ban here for NRG. Mantis is also going to be that initial one if they would want to. But that's a crazy protect right from the get-go.
This is actually great because now Shocker kind of forced, okay, well, they did ban out, you know, the Mantis earlier. What is going to be the next strat is what I'm expecting if they follow through with the ban lineup that they had in our previous game. They're taking a bit, though, and I like to see here with YWL prioritizing the Loki ban, while on the other side, they are sticking through it. It's going to be the White Fox ban this time again.
So yeah, we do have the option to protect the Elsa if they would want. Maybe NRG trying to lull them into a false sense of security that they aren't going to ban it, potentially. Or maybe they don't care about it. I mean, they haven't really been worried about it in some of the other matches. Oh, a strange ban is and could be absolutely vital. If you think about Dom, if you think about those last-minute portals to try and get a touch, not going to happen for Yeah, We Lost as they get Strange ripped away from them.
That was option coverage, too, because they know, like, if they were probably going to ban the Invisible Woman, right? So now that they protect the Invis while they were protecting the Doctor Strange before, it was going to be a 50-50, and Shock took full advantage of that. And as you already mentioned, Gaskin, the importance of a portal to contest the points when it is dire is going to now be off the table for Yeah, We Lost.
Well, White Fox banned on both sides. I remember after the White Fox changes, I thought we were going to see more White Fox bans coming through on both sides.
Yeah.
And we are slowly but surely starting to see the real threat of White Fox and how incredible she can be, especially going up against teams that like to play a certain style, because she can really be the perfect counter. But some very interesting map 5 bans that we've got there. The lack of Strange could really hurt, I'm going to be honest, because the amount of times you'll see a team just about lose a fight, but then the Strange can be switched over to, you get that portal, you're back in, and you just about survive. No chance of that. There is not any room for mistakes for Yeah, We Lost.
It's going to be hard, but they took it all the way here in this game number 5. Shock answering right back to tie the series. I love that we've already opened up day number 1 here in our preseason bracket with a banger of a day in Americas. Let's see which of these teams are going to come out on top to stay in the winner's side of the bracket, because that's something else we need to highlight, right, Gaskin? It is double elimination here. There's another chance, and we're going to have to find out at the end of this game, as Jitwood already coming out with that Daredevil in hand, as well the Vamp Pool that Matt's can get away with as he goes right back over to the Thor, as we're not surprised, and I much rather prefer it.
Chime over onto the Mantis as well. I mean, it's so funny. You look at the typical roles for some of these players, and it's like, yeah, you see them as a duelist. We know Chime absolutely destroys on Elsa. Mantis! And now we're going to see if you can destroy on that Mantis and make that difference for your squad here, as NRG are going to be able to push across and see if they can get the initial touch onto this point after it unlocks in 10 seconds. But look how they are all positioning themselves. Positioning has been fantastic from NRG so far this series. They want to try and isolate these players, but also avoid some of the damage that's coming through, and the first Hulk takes too much.
Window took so much damage there. Put them in the blender as Santos capitalizes, being on the Invisible Woman. Now the follow-up is inevitable. And look at all the extra damage here, too, while Jitward is a nail in the coffin. Kendrick uncontested over on the point, and the point goes first over to We Lost with a nice dagger.
I think Window will be pretty annoyed with himself. The fact you don't really want to expose yourself that much and just be isolated in the way. Like, they were going for a game plan. They wanted to try and back off into the corner, but I think there was a stun that came out. Something kept him from jumping away. And NRG now going to have to be the first team to try and plan a form of attack here. Whereas Zatex over on Elsa. Remember, NRG allowed Elsa to go through here, and maybe Zatex will make them regret it.
That could have actually been Mask in that bubble, too, just preventing anybody from trying to get away here, too, actually. That his chime knocks the head off of Zatex's shoulders. And that's going to be the first pick in favor for Shock to at least have the number advantage. This forces Jitward to now linger back. He needs some healing. He's going to take his time before wrapping up to rejoin the rest of his team. Mass 2 is going to be able to reposition. Kendrick does have the Itch Jeff, while Zatex, a little whip on the dash there, but he's getting right back into the action. The Itch Jeff comes in. Velocity now comes in with a Rage Royal Flush.
I love that Chime doesn't have Elsa, but is more than happy on Mantis to be the damage dealer. Velocity gets one onto Kendrick as well. And NRG look like they should be able to clean up. As I say that, though, Mask and Zatex working together. They're right back into this fight. It is all over the place at the moment. No one is in any sort of structure. It's like 4 different engagements happening at the same time.
It's so split up here. Renko came up, though, with the Eternal Bond. But remember, Shock do not have control over this point first. It's still in the hands of We Lost. And Cart, he's taking them to the ring, and he's going to be able to slam them down, stalling the inevitable. And Shock, they thought they had some signs of life, but letting the devil out is some extra pressure. And We Lost keep their feet planted on this point.
NRG are going to have one last push. But We Lost have just been doing so well to force them back. And actually now, with the invisible boundary come out, it is going to go from bad to worse here for NRG. They're not even going to get a chance to touch this point. We Lost take the first round, putting themselves 1 round away from winning this entire series and progressing into essentially the semi-finals here of playoffs.
Are you not entertained? Welcome to the Americas region. For those of you who may be new here, this was kind of the outcome that we were expecting. Expect the unexpected, I like to say, because when it comes to this region, Gaskin, there is always something that surprises us with the way that these teams roll out on tournament day. And right now, We Lost. It was rather expensive in that last fight, but we know that Glartrox will come online for this next upcoming fight, as well as Mask does have that reset potential too with the God of Thunder.
I'm still surprised that NRG allowed Elsa through. NRG had the opportunity to be able to ban both Gambit and Elsa, but clearly they had a game plan in mind. And, there's still 2 rounds to try and make up for it here. That first one didn't necessarily go that way, especially after the initial fight that I think was just a little bit unpredictable with the Hulk being taken out that quickly. And then they were constantly on the back foot. What did I say earlier? When NRG are at 6s and 7s and they're kind of a little bit lost and there's fights happening everywhere, they don't really feel comfortable. And We Lost are doing so well to disrupt that from NRG, not allowing them to play in the way they would like.
Oh my, they cleaned up Santos! Oh no, the portal play from Madra. He does it again. I was gonna say, Gaskin, being the number guy, it's looking like Pemdis could cancel each other out, but then that portal play came up right behind their backs. Going all the way up is gonna be Matt before slamming down, and Window at least is able to restabilize with the rest of Shock after capitalizing off of that pick.
The difference here is now with the advantage, NRG holding the point. Remember, it's going to be increasingly more difficult for We Lost to get back to the point quickly without the Strange here. So NRG need to keep up the aggression, keep up this hold, and make sure that We Lost do not get that touch. Bully them in the way that they did to you previously.
They're bouncing away. It's about breaking through that choke. As you mentioned, you really only have so many routes here. And you can't let them get too much on the point before trying to dive in. And Shock have so many answers too. Velocity's very close to the invisible boundary. Zatex does that like Glartrox, but after getting marked, Madra calls out where Zatex is. They get that first pick. Kendrick's close to the Itch Jeff, but this is a lot of damage that they have to worry about. With Window looking directly at them, Jitward at least takes care of Stinkers in the 1v1 duel, trying to get sneaky right behind them. Kendrick with the Itch Jeff though, can they get away? It looks like Renko doesn't have his just yet, and Velocity at least has the invisible boundary, but the call out after the pushback as Zatex capitalizes and finds Chime.
Yamamoto comes out, though. It might be enough to get that initial stun and allow them to push back onto the point. But Zatex tearing through, and the Elsa just being allowed to survive could come back to haunt them here. But they haven't been able to secure the point just yet. NRG are holding at the moment, but probably not for long. But of course, they will have the portal available. 63% is all they could do after their first hold.
I love it when you get to see, like, just the heroes get ragdolled out there. Dr. Strange said, hasta la vista for real. But now, they're here by the spawn room gates, and they do have at least that portal. We saw them open up with it at the very beginning of this round, but Zatex is waiting to press that button on the Glartrox.
Glartrox available. Stinkers are going to let the devil out. That's going to be the first one and the first target. Mask is going to try and follow up by getting behind enemy lines, though. Window gets the opener onto Zatex, so that's the duelist down as It's Jeff comes out. Can we see any sort of advantage from this ultimate is going to be my real question. Does manage to get away a little bit, being helped by the strategist big time.
They find the Thor, but it may be too big for them to swallow from the It's Jeff because Mask there had the reset. At least takes down one. It's going to be a trade-off from both sides. Releasing the Glartrox, though. Zatex, who just came back from the spawn room gates, gets taken out, and Window finishes off the progress here on the point.
Do take down Jitwood as well. That's going to be a bit of a stagger. Mask should be able to get away. You'd think will have the support, so he's not going to be staggered himself. Now, NRG, 78%, but as I say that, yeah, we lost to be able to jump onto this point and get behind them. Xantho was being a little bit sneaky alongside the rest of the team, and NRG now getting aggressive and in the face of, yeah, we lost.
They're trying to get the Fly Zapper to deal with Masu, who has been a pain against the strategist to follow up with Jitward. It's going to rally everybody together. It's going to be Chime with that Soul Resurgency. It's Chef now comes in to take Chime at the hands of Kendrick. And here we go from the Mantis to not be able to jump down and unfortunately find themselves off the map instead. This is big with overtime ticking away. It's still in favor for Shock before the flip inevitably happens. But with this invisible boundary, Ayabagamoto, does it land? No, it doesn't. The push off. And now it's up to Jitward to try to continue on with the oppression, but with Stinkers finding Mats, that's one out for Yeah, we lost, and Shock are looking to go the distance.
It's going to be all neutral as well, no ultimates available, a little bit of overtime to work with, so they are going to be able to walk back to this point, but are they going to be able to do this before Zatex respawns here at this point, as NRG just looking to hold. Renko does have its Jeff available, I probably want to save it at the moment, because they are ahead. As I say that though, does not save it, Renko uses it, Stinkers gets two, and yeah, we lost. I don't think I'm going to be able to hold, and we are tied up 1-1, and we are going to round 3 of map 5 here in our third series of the day, and for me and you, Vicky, our first series of the day.
It is our first series overall, Gaskin. We continuously collect the Infinity Stones of the talent that we have here in Americas, but this final round determines everything. It's literally gone down to the wire for this third series.
I mean, unbelievable that we found ourselves here with the roller coaster ride we've been on thus far, the back and forths with the bans as well, trying to suss out playstyles from each side. Just when you thought, yeah, we lost, had finally found their way through NRG, they get responded by NRG. And then just when you think NRG have been able to do enough to shut down Yeah, we lost, there's an instant response from them. The fact it comes down to a domination final round is absolutely perfect. Now, in terms of ult economy, Stinkers is going to have the Let the Devil out first. Zatex should get Glartrox pretty quickly, and Xantho is going to have Invisible Boundary very much quickly as well. But the one advantage NRG Shock have, of course, is Doctor Strange, and here comes that portal.
MR is always going for these sneaky plays. Who's going to be the next victim? They jump down, they look behind them. Where is everybody, though? And they manage to rotate on the other side of the portal. Talk about some timing here, as they can also use this portal just to get out of the line of sight with a lot of pressure onto the Thor here. And yeah, we lost. Do have Santos with that invisible boundary, as Sinkers lets the devil out. Here goes the invisible boundary to counter it.
Well, Xantho is able to get the initial pick, though, and it's going to be Chime falling afterwards. So NRG, despite being the first ones to pop, are going to be the first ones to fall. Mask and Jitwood work together hand in hand to shut them down. And NRG will not get this first point. It's going to be a repeat of the first round here for Yeah, we lost. Real question is, can they do what they did in that first round, where they bullied NRG? They constantly pegged them back and did not allow them on that point.
With the 3K, he tipped them over like a line of dominoes, and Chime had to answer back Gonna be with the man hammer just to be able to get some of that extra damage onto Zatex, letting out the Glartrox though. Can everybody eat? But the Doctor Strange portal also comes out, and they're gonna be able to at least delete that damage of the Glartrox. Not getting the impact that Zatex intentionally wanted, but Velocity does have the invisible boundary. Here comes Kendrick with the counter on the Itch Jeff. They do lose out on some healing though. Big bite though, as the Jaws music is queued up, and Kendrick finds double of the strategist.
Finally, we're seeing Jeff put to work. Ayabagamoto does get popped as well. Can it help out? Looks like Zatex says, no, it's not going to be able to help out. Window's going to be the next one to get targeted, focused, and deleted. As we lost find themselves at 50%. And they are 50% away, Vicky, from taking this entire series and sending NRG down into that lower bracket.
I just know Cozy is scheming in the back, hands together, looking at this play out right now with Zatex and Jitward finding even more of these victims. The stagger is on, and Shock have no momentum. Mask is pushing onto the spawn room gates, and look at their positioning.
Finally, Mask does get shut down, though. Slightly overextended, but it has given them so much time here. It means there is very little room for error from the side of NRG, but the invisible boundary gets popped by Xantho. We are going to see Renko pop. It's Jeff to try and respond. Chime also had to pop the ultimate as well, as we lost do back off slightly, and they are not going to be as aggressive. But as I say, that NRG were able to steal the point away from them and at least stop this getting to 99.
This would be so hard, though. You have 82% at least here on the point, and Cart is still having their way on the backline. Window is going to be able to answer and find Jitward. It's going to have to be a huge reset from Cart, but it's inevitable before he's forced to back away.
Who has the bottle at this point? Because I feel like we're going to get to a situation where we might even get a 99-99 with the back and forth we've had at the moment. NRG just need one stronghold. Zatex is going to have the Apex Predator available. Need help. Window needed help so much there, and Velocity was there to the rescue.
Coming in clutch here, too, and just look at these old charge. Zatex has a Glartrox. Is it going to be big here? Finds one big one, and it's going to be Stinkers with letting the devil out back in the spawn room gates. Maybe on the other side of the Glartrox mouth instead. And Zatex continues to feast onto Mara this time. Velocity has the invisible boundary, forced to pop it after losing out on two of their members. Chime and Renko need to rotate within their own sustain, too. And Kendrick with the counter. It's Jeff is going to be able to eat anybody that's in the boundary. It's the double strat again. Kendrick and this Jeff cannot be stopped. They want to make sushi out of him, and even with these portal plays, they're looking to body block because they're looking to flip it back in their favor.
Kendrick on Jeff is different gravy, just similarly to what Kendrick does on Doctor Strange with the Eye of Agamotto. He times it perfectly, as we lost now take control of this point, and NRG need an It's Jeff of their own, and they do find it. Renko answers back, but Jitwood is currently going off.
The Devil's greatest warrior, being the Jeff, has been a menace from both sides, but the numbers are still advantageous for we lost. Overtime, 99%. Ayavagomoto hits absolutely no one. Madara's looking at Ghost, and Jitward, he's been the topic at hand. He finds another one, and we lost with victory in sight. Are holding back Shock, and they take the series.
We lost. Forget it. Rename them. We won. And they've done it on domination as well. Considering that first map, how it just went so dreadfully for them. We lost. Progress to the semi-finals of the winners bracket here in Marvel Rivals Ignite preseason. And not only that, but they send NRG Shock down into that lower bracket. I mean, Vicky, we couldn't have asked for a better match to kick off our second half of the show here, because what an incredible map 5 we just witnessed.
Oh my god, we lost. Are you kidding me, man? I mean, goes to the believer, right? Like, this team is just putting on a masterclass of entertainment. I cannot wait to see the stats, man, because you take off the winning card from Stinkers, Jitward just excels. Zatex, by the way, here we go. 17 final hits, 12 finals for Jitward. Look at the damage output from the duelist side of we lost. Sure, Window is going crazy. We've seen that damage output too from the Vanguard. That is the Deadpool here from Window. But then you have to think about Kendrick. You're playing on Hell's Heaven. You have environmental chaos, and you have the impact of the Itch Jeff to counter these invisible boundaries when you can expect the Invisible Woman.
Wow, I mean, like, can you believe what we've just seen here, Vicky? The fact that you've got Zatex being able to get away with the Elsa. By the way, remember, I am going to remind you that Zatex was allowed to have that Elsa available to him, and maybe that shouldn't have happened. But so one thing we certainly learned is, yeah, we lost are here to play here in Marvel Rivals Ignite preseason.
Absolutely, and while we get Cozy back into the mix here to break down the action, I know he's giddy, by the way. I see him smiling. We're looking at a lot of these replays, and Cozy, what was the biggest thing that stood out for you once you saw that? Yeah, we lost, took control over that point.
Oh, don't call it comeback, right? I mean, that was awesome, just definition of the series on that one domination, right? Like, just back and forth, one team just both imposing their wills. And yeah, I mean, one thing that stood out, I mean, obviously, all great players, and they all kind of shine in different moments. I just got to say, Zatex, obviously the Elsa is great, but we've watched Zatex now, time over time, always be kind of this second duelist on the team. This guy is such a perfect complement for any duelist on the other side and the whole team. And just the really, they prioritized the perfect pick for most of those opening battles. I thought that's what NRG did well, the couple maps that they won. Wow, I mean, Hell's Heaven is now known as YWL lost home court advantage. That was cinema.
I'm still appalled. Like the way that they were able to also play like into the pick and ban phase, into their own advantage too, Gaskin. Like we saw the Doctor Strange ban, and they were able to not only dominate on the point first a lot of the times in the opening fights, which is very important when you don't have a Strange, but they were able to build so much space and keep the pressure up to waste more time away from Energy Shock.
I wonder whether NRG overthought it a little bit in that final lock and ban phase, because the stats don't lie, right? Elsa and Gambit are the two biggest threats without a shadow of a doubt. They had their chance to get rid of both of them. And they were like, no, we're gonna go deeper here. We're gonna break through the strategy of, yeah, we lost, we're gonna get rid of Strange. And don't get me wrong, I like the Strange ban, but they could have done Strange plus Elsa at that point. And I do think that they are gonna regret doing that, and maybe that will be a lesson they learn going into the lower bracket. They gave it a valiant effort, it has to be said. That the Jeff on Jeff action was very fun to watch, Cozy, because as I was mentioning last week, we didn't see one successful Jeff ult, I don't think. So the fact that we saw several here in this map made me very happy.
Yeah, Kendrick v. Rinko was so fun to watch, and just insane ults back over back. I mean, obviously we knew, Hell's Heaven is going to provide a lot of those with all the environmental. But yeah, I mean, just to perfection. How many times do you see the teammate, swallowed up with the enemy, and they all go down together? Like, you saw it in slow motion there on the second map as, I saw the quick spin out from Kendrick and get a double piece there. Either way, though, I'm just pumped to watch this team continue. I think this team's got the world ahead of them. They're super fun. Obviously, there's a lot that they can polish up. But, like, this is how they play. And I kind of said it earlier, and we're going to obviously have a great interview here, but you can't practice against this team all that much. And some of the stuff that they bring and some of the talent they have in specific heroes in constant threat. And they can, like I said in the break, can really go up against anyone. Vicky, I mean, 5 casters versus 1. I mean, are you surprised that no one, and I'm not trying to, I am going to frame that pick, okay? And I'm 3 for 3 on the day. I'm pretty pumped, all right? But I got to say, are you surprised that no one else picked it? Why don't you think anyone else picked them to win?
I think it's because of what we saw Energy do in the group stages. You have to take the recency bias and add it to the mix, and like what happened, yeah, we lost like on the tail end of the run in the group stages, and I think that is usually the freshest thing on everybody's mind. And then I think the fact that as Gaskin mentioned, we saw the Daredevil once in the hands of Jitward, now we see it back to back. He literally out-damaged the Elsa on his team. Like, that is crazy to say what the impact that Jitward had just on that hero alone. And it's going to be difficult for a lot of other teams to like keep that in mind with the flexibility that this team has too. And like you talk about like what went wrong too on Energy side, and some of the plays that we highlighted looking at their past series with 100 Thieves, the biggest upset to open up the group stages was being able to find more of these crazy cheeky portal plays for Madara, but these Eye of Agamottos are not landing. I wasn't a big fan of the opening portal play there too. It kind of isolated them and even delayed their aggression on the point. So little things that needed to be cleaned up there too.
I mean, Gasky, going all the way back, I believe when Ego Death was a thing and you had Zatex on that team, I believe Jitward was the coach of that team. And so it's like, we've seen now a couple times coaches go to players and they end up really great because you're getting like a 2-for-1, right? I don't know how much shot calling is going on when you're Spider-Man zipping around the map and Deadpool jumping on the heads. But still, you have so much in like one package and you get what you get, right? Any coach would want that out of a player that plays like that. And there's truly not, you can see statistically, no one that plays like Jitward.
No one that plays like Jitward. Unbelievable what he does. And also what impresses me about Jitward is the fact that he is not egotistical enough to be like, no, I will continue to play Spider-Man. He knows what's best for the team. He knows he's good on Spider-Man, but then he will switch off and he will play better heroes if he is available to play them.
Well, let's welcome in the winner's interview of what was an absolutely insane matchup. The Shark himself, Kendrick. Welcome on in, buddy. And I've got to say right away, congratulations to what was a just two Rams going back and forth. How are you feeling after such a crazy matchup?
Feeling good, feeling good. That was a really close one.
I mean, I'll say, man, I got to ask first, man, you guys have been some of the most unpredictable, aggressive kind of teams in the preseason. And when everyone kind of doubts the style that you play, how satisfying is it to prove that it works, you know, on the biggest stages that Rivals has?
I think it's funny, honestly. I think a lot of teams are starting to see that it's not just a gimmick strategy. It's a real, like, it's how you're supposed to play the game, honestly.
All right, I like it. I like the confidence.
I like how you get to highlight that too, because I'm getting word actually that teams were canceling scrims against you guys, and here you are like taking chalk all the way to game number 5. And how are you feeling about that? Because you guys go to Hell's Heaven, and you probably were like, sweet, it's the playground that I get to flourish in as Jeff when you're looking at Mantis and Invis.
Yeah. Yeah, we have scrimmed like probably 3 times since the play-ins because everybody cancels on us. Nobody wants to scrim us. I think everybody's scared of us, to be honest, and they don't want us to get better in practice. But yeah, I guess they can't practice versus our playstyle now, so we'll see how they play.
I mean, you guys just amaze me every single time you're on my screen. Like, there was one point, I think, during group stages where you played against SSG, they were able to beat you down a little bit, and then you've just come back stronger and stronger since then. If you're not scrimming, how are you guys improving? Like, what does practice look for you if you are struggling to find scrims?
Our entire team queues 20 hours of ranked a day, so that's how we practice.
Hell yeah.
And we just run it down, basically.
Amazing.
Yeah, no, that's the truth. Every time it ends here, I go and I see Jitward stream. It's like another 10 hours of ranked. It's like you guys are addicted in the best way possible, but that's what it's all about, is the passion behind it. And honestly, like, I fell in love with you guys going back in the MRC, got to cast you and see y'all's team kind of develop then. And it was so fun because we haven't seen a team be that dominant in the MRC. And so it's going to be interesting how y'all kind of took that into what this Ignite is. And but I mean, I'm a believer. I think this team has so much, you know, obviously potential. And I want to ask you, it's not often you see the fun teams just do so well when, you know, in watchability. How far can this team go? I mean, you guys think there's no question about it, you could take the crown and get this dub as the first place?
Yeah, I think we can. I think our biggest enemy is ourselves. If we play like how we should play, we can win, for sure.
Awesome, man. And, you know, I have to say, too, who would you say, if I give you a chance to give some shout-outs here, man, because I want to give you the floor. I mean, you guys just won the biggest game, I think, for your team in the history of what you guys have, you know, had together. Like, give some shout-outs. Who do you want to highlight that maybe doesn't get all the, you know, attention and love?
Honestly, shout out the people that scrimmed us. FlyQuest, 100 Thieves, and Z10. Those are the 3 teams that actually scrimmed us and didn't cancel. So, shout out to them.
Any words to the teams that didn't scrim you?
Good luck.
Well, my friends, that was a good time, and we appreciate you so much for coming in on this interview. And good luck, celebrate the win, and tell the team congratulations.
Thank you.